Studio 110.live, Dirty Harry back in the hot chair. Man, so good to be back on the air on this Monday afternoon. It's not raining out here in the Northwest, where I broadcast the show from Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you're following us on our IG page, Studio 110.live. Man, we got so many great videos up there, great pictures. You can see the little mix-a-lot chit-chat with your boy Dirty. You can see the Macklemore shopping spree. You can see me hanging out with my boy Snoop Dogg. You can see a lot of things going down right there at Studio 110.live. Man, I got to give a couple key shout-outs real quick, and we'll be doing them throughout the afternoon today on the big program. And I got a busy show this afternoon, but man, I had my big launch party for the show here at our headquarters this past Saturday night. We had about, I'd say, give or take, 175 people, maybe more. It was a great event. We had fashion, we had the High Children, we had DJs, DJ Penthouse, and it was just a great night, great vibes. Everybody had a great time. People have been hitting me up all weekend, especially yesterday, saying, hey, man, they just had a great time, and they really were excited to come out and support my brand new show and the launch party, and Ryan Conley, and everybody, my main show sponsor at FutureNet, and everybody that took proper association with working so hard behind the scenes to make sure this big old party was just a 1-2 smack in your face ultimately, because I like that term. It really was, because we really went hard. Fashion show, multiple DJs, bar, catering. We had my boy DC in here, Great Cause Studio, his big old TV channel that he partners up with for a great cause, and Channel A TV. So yeah, it was a great show. All right, on today's show, got my first guest, special guest here in the studio. I haven't seen him in some time. A legendary, well-known producer and artist here from the Northwest. Gained a lot of notoriety, a lot of attention with just what he does and the artists that he works with, and the proper channels that he maneuvers through out here in the Northwest, continuing to put the Pacific Northwest on the map properly. My guy Vitamin D in the studio at 1:30 today. I got Mr. Clubbing 101 Gianni on his way down to embark into Las Vegas and Los Angeles to really pop off his national new brand. Got Mr. Network coming up at 2 o'clock with his new female artist that he's working with. Steve Lobel, the legendary Steve Lobel, the man that's responsible for Bone Thugs and Harmony, working right now with Scott Storch in the studio. Pretty big figure in the music business, Steve Lobel. And then I've got Mike Ricker, another legendary radio host, and now in the cannabis scene at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to stay on a little bit longer today so I could fit Mike Ricker into the show. So super excited for the show today. It's a Monday. Most people hate Mondays. I love Mondays. I love kicking off the week and just getting down to it, and just kicking off the big show. So with that being said, Vitamin D, man, it's a great opportunity to have you here on the show with me today. I appreciate you coming in. You and I know a lot of the same people, and we made it work.
Yeah, nice, man. It's a pleasure to be here, and man, I'm honored, and man, this is real nice up here, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Nice.
So let's get caught up. You've been you and I have been around for some time. We've opened up a few doors. Saying that lightly, for a lot of artists and people in the music business, where we've given them the proper opportunities. Me on the radio side, you on the the producing element side. So where are we at currently with things right now? I know you're working with a lot of artists. You got a lot on your plate, but let's get caught up to speed, bro.
Yeah, well, man, I'm real excited about most of the things I'm doing. I just wrapped up mixing a project for Gifted Gab, which is one of my favorite artists out here. Okay. Her project is going to be lovely when it drops. A couple of my young homies from Tacoma, they're in a group called Bad Yoshi, and they just released their project, and I have production on that. I just released a solo album. You can call it a solo album. It has a lot of features, though. Called Born Day 3, only available on Bandcamp because I like their platform.
Yep.
People can give you money if they want to, or they could just slap it for free.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do, but I will take the money.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's not we're not teaming up. Although charity organizations are great, but when we're messing with Vitamin D in the studio and you really showing your talents, it's not hands across Vitamin D's wallet here.
Right. I mean, hey, if it turns out that way, though, so be it. It's all about the music at the end of the day for me. But if we can get a check out of this thing, please.
I mean, that's a good thing to do at the end of the day. You know, it's a good positive movement. So a good relationship that you and I both have, and he was excited for you to come on the show. Is the one and only, that local boy named DZ.
DZ,
the guy that's still I give him credit. He's still putting CDs on the map.
I know. I want to say he's like 30 deep or something crazy, right? Like,
yeah, he's 30 deep, and I guess there are still a few people that have CD players in their cars. I mean, you and I both know that most automobile companies today, they're not putting CDs in cars.
It's all Bluetooth at this point, man. So.
It's all Bluetooth. It's all
satellite radio.
Satellite radio XM. And shout out to Kid Capri and Fred Bugsy Bugs, my guys out there in New York that hold it down on Channel 47. So cool. So I was kind of going over my my show prep, my bullets. I like to kind of do my homework, and you're the Stranger, a well-known publication out here in the Northwest, and Larry Mizell Jr. wrote in a really nice, classy, respectful line about you, and he said, if one man was to represent Seattle in a worldwide hip hop Olympics, I can think of no one really better than the man, the producer, the MC DJ, Derek Vitamin D Brown. And I thought that was a really cool thing to say. He says, you've been a huge influencer on generations of musicians with your tireless commitment to the craft. And you and I are very similar. We both have very high jump bars, and we don't just take anybody on, and we don't just put anything out.
No, not me.
Yeah,
I'll leave that to the other guy.
So when we talk about the Northwest overall, in terms of, there's a lot of artists out here. There's a lot of artists out here that are trying to make some noise. Some of them more successful than others, but some of them just need a larger platform. Some of them aren't being possibly recognized to the level that they need to be. One artist that I've definitely been admiring, and I can see the traction and the overall maneuvers that he's been putting into play is Huey P.
Oh yeah. I love Huey P.
Yeah, Huey P. and Taj King. I mean, that first song with Dave East did over 1 million on World Star Hip Hop.
Right.
So you can see, that and you can attest to this, and I want to speak to you about this. But for a long time, when people thought of hip hop and they thought of Seattle and they thought of the Northwest, they didn't think anything was out here. They thought, the closest thing that they would kind of angle us up to be was Los Angeles, and it was an unfortunate thing, especially to go into conferences and going to award shows, and people just not really thinking anything of it. But then we saw Macklemore's success, we see Huey P, we see you, we see other key figures here in the market.
Well,
really.
I'd also like to note too that on the production side, we haven't necessarily been lacking like that. We have a lot of tentacles out there, and it's kind of hard to gauge it because production is a behind the scenes thing. Unless you read album covers, which they don't even have anymore, right?
Right.
You wouldn't know who made the music, but like people don't know Frank Ocean's almost Grammy winning album was done by a Seattle producer. Like people don't know that.
Yep. And I actually knew that, and that we were going to actually chat on that. And you bring up a good point. Like on the artist standpoint, it's one thing, but like you just said, the higher traction, the higher visibility in terms of the producer side of it, in terms of the mastering these records, there's a lot of great talent like yourself here. But it would be nice to have that kind of proper offset built into place where it was more kind of a true 50-50 split, so everybody could get the proper recognition.
Yeah, I think we're on the cusp of it, though.
Good.
I mean, if you look at guys like Dave B, who's out on tour with Macklemore right now, like since Macklemore put him on that tour, like his numbers are finally matching the level of talent that he has.
Good.
And he's blowing up around the world with it. Gifted Gab's new group, I mean, a few million views on their video and stuff like that. And they're on the road as well.
Yep.
Jarv D's on the road right now. Romeo Francois, all those guys. Who else? There's some Paris Alexa's about to blow up. Like there's a lot of good stuff going on, and we're starting to be visible now.
But I wanted to get to a point that, like Khaled and Diddy want to host their show out here from the Northwest. That's what I want to see. I want to see, I want to see Seattle on that top scale, projected, iconic image where these record executives are coming through here, these A&R guys are coming through here, and we're seeing that more, but we're not seeing it to the level that it needs to be.
I agree. cold thing about it is like, who has the solution to that problem? You know, I mean, I know like behind the scenes, I do everything I can. I make sure everybody that comes through my studio, their album sounds up to industry standard and things like that. Is clean. I consult and make sure that the you know, the artistry portion of their projects stand up to what's going on. If not, crush what's going on out there too. Like, that should be the goal. It's like we want to be better than Atlanta. We want to be better than LA.
Yes, we do.
You know, so Chicago and everybody else. But you know what's funny is you go to a big city like Chicago and you talk to the artists there, and they seem to have the same struggle.
So. And I think part of the reason that these artists are having the struggle is, you know, there aren't a lot of people like Macklemore in terms of those types of figures around the country that are willing and want to adapt to taking these other artists under their wing and to be able to put them out, you know, properly. And that says a lot about him. He's just a really good guy. He's always been a good guy. I've always had a good relationship with him.
Oh, yeah.
But there's not a lot of artists like him that are willing to do that, and that's what it takes.
Yeah, I agree. But I see it changing.
Good.
I definitely see it changing. We'll see who's featured at Upstream this year and some of the shows and stuff that's going on, and I don't know. I see it emerging, man. I really do.
Well, maybe there'll be a day, bro, that you and I can, you know, be out on a stage together at some big, you know, production, whether if it's the artist that you're working with, or we do a kind of a collective team effort from the artists that have been coming on the air with me, and we really give them the proper visibility. We really kind of highlight them, because I don't really see that done. I see a lot of like one-off shows. I see a lot of good shows that they work super hard to promote and get out there, but I don't see a lot of shows where it's kind of a more welcoming, opening channel effect to be able to invite other people in to show them the, you know, the proper respect.
Yeah, no, I agree. Shoot, we also need a venue to do that too. You know that. I mean, we got Numos and Nectar. We got those kind of mid-tier, I call them, where you know you have 600 to 800 capacity, and that's kind of as big as it gets.
Yeah,
and, you know, so. I don't know. Maybe we find some investors and get a venue where that sort of thing is, or a promoter or something. You know, like I know we both know people like that.
No, totally. And I just had dinner. I'm sure you know my buddy Steven, you know, one of the owners of Numos and Barboza and Mopar.
Yes.
Just sat down with him a couple weeks ago for dinner, and we had the same conversation. And I said, you know, you need to get your partners and you need to get your crew to be, you know, I understand that there's the money shows that, you know, they're going to sell well, but there's off nights, and believe me, there's off nights that they could be, you know, opening up these proper channeling effects to be able to do this, because it needs to be done. So, all right. So you come from a music background. You come from a music family. Your own father, Herman Pops Brown, was a member of the Motown family. So talk about what that was like to grow up with your, you know, who your dad was, you know, and a strong, respected member from Motown, the Motown family.
Yeah. Shoot. Actually, Pop started out with a group called the Silvers. I mean, maybe you're old enough to remember them, but he started on this label called Solar under a producer called Leon Silvers III, and he did songs like Whispers, Rock Steady, and Shalimar, Take It to the Bank, and all that stuff. So my dad was a studio session.
Those were the days like Confunction, the SOS band, Daz band. You know?
Yeah, he's a funketeer. So late 70s, early 80s funk. He's all over a lot of those records. And then he was in a group that was signed to Motown called Ozone that had a few cult classics. And to this day, you go to lowrider shows and stuff like that, and they're actually still touring and doing festivals. And you know, there's 5,000 people there to see him, and everybody knows the words and stuff like that. So
One track, it's been out for some time, but I don't think a lot of people know about the track, is the Snoop Dogg track called Ballin', featuring the Dramatics.
Oh, yeah.
The Dramatics from back in the day. I'm sure you know the track, but that my boy up here, Battle Cat, another producer.
Hey, man. So Cat that's my partner right there, man. Cat, that's the homie, man. Shout out to Cat, man. That's one of the most talented dudes you ever come across right there.
I'll tell you, people ask me all the time, and I'm an honest, just straight up, you know, guy, and people always ask me, who is my favorite producer in the business? And I will always say, hands down, Battle Cat. He's a genius.
Yes.
He has the capabilities to you give him the flight plan, and within an hour he's already got something to show you.
Oh, it's already laid down. Yeah. What I mean, man, that dude is goofy genius. Like it don't even make no sense.
And just out of he was, a lot of people don't know this, but he's been up here quite a few times. But his most recent trip up here, he was actually working on Dr. Dre's album from Seattle.
Oh,
so
yeah.
another thing that people don't realize is Dr. Dre, part of Dr. Dre's album is being produced up here in Seattle, which is huge.
Yeah,
You know?
well, there's a lot of Seattle guys involved in Aftermath, though.
Yep.
People don't realize that either.
Yep.
I do a lot of work with Aftermath myself, so like I know who's up there, and they come up here and. Like, you know, people, the industry knows where the funk's at. You know what I mean? Like, the people might not know, but the industry knows.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. So let's continue on here. And so who are some artists, not only that you're currently working with, on the project side in your studio, but some other people that are currently on your radar who you're excited about here in the Northwest, artist-wise?
So I'm starting to work with this group called the Soul Tans.
Okay.
They're like, I don't even know how to describe their sound. You wouldn't, I mean, some people would call it neo soul. It's not quite neo soul, but it's that hybrid. Like, you got the sing vocals, this half rap kind of, and it's a pretty interesting sound. I don't hear too many records that sound like that. They're like their style and everything. So I'm excited to work with those guys. I've been trying to push to work with Paris Alexa, like I mentioned before. Yeah, I would at least like to do some remixes or something because I just like her voice and I just like the way she does it. She does have her own in-house production team.
Okay.
And a lot of those guys are my homies too, and we all build trade sounds. You know what I mean? Like, just because I'm not the one pressing the button doesn't mean like I like to just contribute. So. I contribute in other ways to that, but I would like to actually sit down and do an actual track with her and this fella, Mr. DC, and they're kind of like a clique. And there's one of those situations, like you say, where they take each other under each other's wing and give each other opportunities like that.
Yep.
So I would love to work with those guys. I'm pretty sure it'll happen organically, because good music seems to run into each other, you know.
Especially when you don't burn bridges and you show respect, and that's what the business is about. People don't realize how small of a business this is. It's a small business, and I was at that stage at my former radio station for 19 years, and for 19 years, I can honestly say I never burnt a bridge, because I know once you burn a bridge, it's like a wildfire, it just catches on and progresses and grows.
Yeah, you're right.
So when can we expect to hear some music from just a couple of these artists that you just mentioned?
Paris, I want to say, drops next week with another project. I'm not sure about Mr. DC. The Soul Tans, we got a little bit of work to do in the studio, and drop some more tracks, record, and I'm not quite sure exactly where they are at as far as like how close they are to completing their project. But,
And how many priorities right now are on Vitamin D's desk overall, just in the studio? I mean, probably quite a few.
Man, boy. I mean, I tend to work on about 10 projects at a time, probably.
10?
Yeah, about 10.
And who's priority number one right now out of all 10?
I don't look at it like that.
Okay.
I kind of look at, there. How when you're working on a project, there's certain stages. There's a creative stage where you're kind of germinating with the sound, and then once you lock the sound in, then it's time to press the gas, get the edits done, get the mixing and mastering done, and all that stuff. So, and the cool thing about it is, I'm not sure what process I enjoy the best: the germinating, like creating from the ground up part, or post production where. All right, we got something. We feel like we got the magic accomplished, and we just got to edit it and make it clean. So, I don't know. I guess maybe I like the whole process. I can't really figure it out, But
because there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, when you're an executive producer of a track, people don't realize. I mean, for anybody that's never actually been in a studio and watched just the amount of angles and takes that it takes to produce a hit record, it's a lot.
Yeah. No, it is. Another project I'm excited to work on is. Seattle's very own Jake One and LA's Mayor Hawthorne got the group Tuxedo, and their next album, they allowed me to grace them with some nice keyboard parts.
Good.
Battle Cat's on there too.
Is he?
Oh yeah, come on, man.
Oh, I got to hear that.
No, you got to have the phone. I mean, Battle Cat has a Tuxedo remix already on their last project, which is bananas, like just stupid.
Okay.
Cat and Jake are real good friends. They might be hanging out now. That's how good friends they are. Like,
Yeah, I want to get him in the studio as well, and Jake and so tell him I said what up. I haven't seen him in a while, but it's all about now that I'm back on there, it's all about reacquainting with people like yourself who I haven't seen in some time, and it's good. It's good to be back and be back on the air, and it's nice. This is a national show, so
nice.
it's not we're not just branded locally here. Although, with me being a locally based guy, I like to show love and respect to people like yourself and other key figures here.
Yeah, we appreciate it, by the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think there's I definitely want to make it more of a reoccurring segment with you, because there's always things to talk about. You're always working on projects. So we touched on this a little while earlier about just things that frustrate you, from being, somewhat kind of quote unquote of a Seattle-based, producer, artist, a well-known figure out here, well-known, respected figure in the Northwest. What are some things that frustrate you from what you're seeing either on the artist side, on the producing side, on the national side, with the labels kind of looking into us, but just kind of your overall projected image?
We're starting to get away from this, but for a long time, Seattle artists were afraid to have their own sound.
Yep.
And when you look at all the people that have made it, throughout the years in hip hop or other genres,
Yep.
Nobody else sounded like Dr. Dre when Dr. Dre came out. Nobody else sounded like T.I. when he came out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it spawned and birthed the whole sound that everybody's following now, because, like, you're not really gonna, like, you need to change the course of the sound and be a leader in some aspect in order to make a real impact, is how I look at it.
Yep.
So a lot of people in Seattle were afraid to take those kind of steps and were more complacent and satisfied with sounding like the next guy or fitting in, things like that. And now what I'm seeing is people were like, you know what, Seattle does have a sound. We're going to rock that sound with pride.
Yep.
And so that's been a frustration for me over the years. But like I say, I always, I look at things positively. So if I can see people changing the things I'm frustrated about, then I'm no longer frustrated most of the time. Another thing is, there's not a lot of outlets like this where, like a quality radio show or a place where, like people can even let the people know that they're working on a project.
That's why I'm here.
Like
That's why I'm back, bro.
Right. So
spread the word. Let all your crew know that, hey, that boy Dirty Harry's back and ready to take it on. Especially with all these artists. I'm all about showing respect and giving back, and because a lot of people have shown me love, and I want to give back. So
yeah. Well, shoot. When we're off air, I'll go ahead and shoot you some contacts of some people that I think you probably want to talk to,
For sure. Yeah, likewise too. And let me know what I can continue to, help you with, because it's, it's all about key proper relationships, That's what it's about. If you're just tuning into the big show right now, Dirty Harry, Studio110.live. Make sure you follow us on our Instagram page, Studio110.live. Got the man in the studio, Vitamin D. He's worked with a lot of artists. So I wanted to get your thoughts and opinion, because you're someone that could definitely relate to this conversation. And it's been some time, but I can't ask this question to obviously every guest, because they just want to understand it. People always ask me, bro, who's my favorite artist? Who's my guy? And I always say it's Snoop. Hands down, it's Snoop. I mean, always has been Snoop. With that being said, he put out that reggae album. For a while, he had Pharrell, producing him and putting out that sound. And I wanted to just kind of get your take and thoughts. I mean, when I think of Snoop Dogg and the best quality music that he's put out, it's always with Battle Cat. I mean, there's nothing really better, in my opinion, than a Battle Cat produced Snoop Dogg record. Your thoughts on just the kind of the sound that Pharrell did take him, with records like that. Did well, Beautiful did very well. It was a smash hit record. A couple of the records on the reggae album did fairly okay, but did you just kind of like, what was your just overall thought process when he changed the sound? Luckily, he's kind of trying to get back into it now. So.
Well, I like Bush. That I think Pharrell did a lot of that, and where it kind of had the funk elements, and it sounded like the funk I grew up on and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I like that, and I understood what he was doing artistically with that. Not so much with the reggae. I didn't quite understand where he was trying to go with that.
Yeah, Snoop Lion. I mean, it's like, why, changing the name. I mean, it's Snoop Dogg, you know.
Right, right. But then he had a single like maybe 6 months ago that he did with this producer Knots, who's a Knots is a monster. Like I think the song's called "What Is This," and it kind of sounded like closer to Snoop's original flavor, but Knots and Battle Cat, they're cut from the same cloth. They really remind me of each other if you hang out with them.
Okay.
Like just like they got that sound, just the real funk.
Yeah.
Knots is out of Virginia. Of course, Cat is he's from the crib. So I don't know. I would love to hear, especially I would love to hear songs like how he had on Bush, where it's kind of got that funk feel to it, but have Cat doing it, and you know what I mean? Because Pharrell, he's real clean and neat, and the funk's not always that, And Battle Cat's not always clean and neat. Battle Cat, he'll swag it out on you. You know what I mean?
He gets down. He gets down. I don't know if you're familiar, Andy Stokes, local R&B artist here out of the Northwest, just put on a good show at Triple Door a couple weeks ago. My boy Dub B, Wyeth is managing him, and
oh really?
Yep. And
that's a name I haven't heard for a little while.
Yeah, man. Dub B. Yeah, he's managing Andy Stokes right here. They just did a whole national promo tour. It was very successful for them, and I was told that Chris Brown has reached out now and wants Andy to come perform with him on some upcoming cruise party. So
nice.
So that should be a good look for Andy. And he keeps on moving up media base and the Billboard charts. He's like almost top 10. So
okay.
He's got a good record out, got a good band out, and he just did a song with. I told Wyeth, I said, man, you got to hook up with Cat, and he did. And then Cat got Snoop Dogg on the track, and now it's Andy Stokes and Snoop Dogg on this next track coming up. So
nice.
So,
and is that out yet?
They haven't put it out yet. Right now, they're focused right now on the current single, but that'll be the next one that comes out. So
okay, and this is available on Spotify and stuff like that.
It should be, yeah. If not, I'll have Wyeth. It'd be good probably for you two to catch up.
Okay.
I don't know the last time you talked to him, but he's been around for some time, and I don't know if Steve Lobel. You familiar with Steve Lobel?
Yeah, I can't say we're acquainted like that, but
no. Steve Lobel will be on with me this afternoon via phone, and he's always a good guy to talk to. Just you see him standing next to Jay in New York and Diddy and the biggest players in the country on a national projected level. Who are some national artists that you're liking that you're a fan of these days?
Boy, there's so many. I'm such a.
Who's your top 5 vitamin D?
There's no way I can say that.
Okay.
There's no way we can narrow everything I listen to a top 5. But let me see. I mean, you got to break that down the genre because
I mean, what do you think of the Cardi B, Migos, Black Beatles? I mean, just some of the.
I'm more of a fan of Migos' earlier records, but
okay.
I like their first 3. I would say are more of my favorite. Cardi B. The content's not really, I'm grown at this point with kids and stuff like that, so I don't slap that so much unless I'm by myself in the car and they're not listening with me. Yeah. But her voice is amazing and her flow's dope, and of course those beats knock. So like that's dope. But then I like more undergroundy stuff. Like I've been listening to this guy Saba Pivot out of Chicago, and he's featured on a couple of Chance the Rapper albums, and it's where you may have heard them. And they're also down with this female artist, No Name, and I like her a lot too. I really kind of like the Chicago sound right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely emerging and coming back. It kind of took a little bit of a backseat for a little bit of time, but now it's definitely coming back, which is good. So
yeah, and then out of LA, I like the Internet got a new single, and I'm definitely a fan of Sid and the Internet and just that whole scene and that sound. Steve Lacy and all those guys, the Matt Martians and all that stuff. And then, man, my boy Alchemist, he's putting out a whole lot of these underground records with like Conway and West Side Gun and Rock Marciano and all those guys.
Been a fan of his for years. So
Right. And all this beats ain't got no drums on them no more, but I call it the no drum revolution. Like a lot of records are just getting back to the raw essence, a record, a loop, dope bars, stuff like that. So I like that underground sound, but then I like something more polished like Saba and Chance the Rapper and that kind of stuff too. But man, I think some of our, think some of our local guys are rivaling that stuff.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Like,
What are some kind of key fundamental pieces of knowledge that you instill into new artists that may approach you or be able to get in touch with you from other people? What's that kind of proper messaging that you put into place when you're having a phone conversation or having a sit-down conversation with a newer artist that hasn't even put out a record yet, but that just wants to be able to be discovered? What's Vitamin D's overall flight plan when you instill it into an artist like that?
To reiterate, try to come up with your own sound. Number one, that's going to be the first thing or the first way you will stand out from the rest of the pack. Is okay, this guy has his own sound. Love it or hate it, and some of the best artists out there. Like I remember when Kanye first came on the scene.
I do too.
And it caused like a frenzy. People either loved it or they were like, "Yuck, these tight pants and backpacks." And now everybody got tight pants and backpacks, like, what? Or it was either that or you just loved it because it was so different and like they took a chance. So I tell artists to do that. Number two, put a live show together, a quality live show. No rapping over the pre-recorded vocals and things like that because people want to see you. People want to see you be vulnerable and as an artist. And another thing I say, stand for something. Stand for something. Like nobody wins being this ambiguous, I agree with everything type thing. You gotta make ripples in waves out there. You gotta shake it up, you know. So those are kind of the main things I would tell an artist to focus on.
And those are proper. Those are important. Those are the key fundamentals to be successful at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then after that, once you have a project, you're going to have to get out there and get on the road. And it's going to take some sacrifices. You might have to sleep in the backseat of your Jeep to get to the next show. You might have to stay at the Clarion and wipe with them hard towels that they have over there and sleep on floors and all that stuff.
Yeah,
man.
You got to pay your dues.
Yeah, but I mean, don't be afraid of that sacrifice. As a matter of fact, the times I've had to do that, when I reflect on it, it's been a while, but like those are good times. Like those are the things that shake you.
And you never forget them. You never forget them.
Nah, and you see who's really down with you too at the same time.
You see who is your core group, who's got your back, and who really is the backup. You know,
right.
You know who was just here? He surprised me. He came up to support my big launch party here that we had up here at our headquarters this past Saturday. The legendary Nasty Ness.
Ooh, Ness.
Nasty Ness was here, and Nasty Ness was the guy that discovered me. You know, as a kid going to Roosevelt High School back in the day, he saw something, he believed in me, and he got me into Def Jam Records.
You're a Rough Rider, huh?
I was a Rough Rider.
Shout out to the Rough Riders.
Class of '94. So,
okay, dope.
Yeah. So I went to Roosevelt, and so did he, and so did Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Yeah, I remember.
So Mix-a-Lot was my first guest here back on March 15th when I kicked off the show, and I appreciate the respect that you showed me a few minutes ago, Vitamin D, coming from a guy like you. You know, just the platform that I'm building out here. And Sir Mix-a-Lot and I walked out of my studio, we were walking down the hall, and he said, his quote, "Dirty Harry, what you're doing here is brilliant." And coming from a guy like that, I mean, that carries some weight, you know?
Oh, yeah, because,
he's on a 47-city national tour. How many local artists here how many national artists can do a 47-city tour?
Hey, man, that dude has 10 lives, man.
And he drives himself too. Like, he doesn't fly, he drives himself. He's actually the driver of his own, frickin',
don't he got like a big rig bus type
he does.
deal with?
He has a studio in the back, and he and I asked him who's driving it. He said he's driving it. So
I can see that.
if you're driving down a random highway in the country, you may see Sir Mix-a-Lot driving his own vehicle. But hey, that's what he does, and I've known him for years, and he really created a lot of new pathways, for many artists here. And,
none of us would be where we are without dude. Yeah. I mean, whether you agree with it or not. I mean, I know that's one of the first. When I first moved to Seattle, and I heard K Fox Fresh Tracks, and them guys was DJing live and reminding me of where I came from, and reminding me of K-Day in LA. So I was like, oh man, Seattle knows what's up. And then actually, when you look at what was going on back then, they were ahead of the cusp, kind of like they had hip hop shows before a lot of the nation caught on.
Yep.
And with live DJing and scratching, like you didn't really hear that too many places, but New York, LA, maybe Chicago.
Yep.
I don't even know if they were doing that. I think there's a station in Miami that back in the day that was doing that, but there wasn't in the early '80s like that. There wasn't too many people doing that. So
Yep. And I want to, at some point off the air, we'll discuss this, but I'm currently managing with Nasty Nest. We're both there. Nest brought me on to co-manage with him the High Children, local group. Jason and Jamal from the High Children making a lot of noise. My boy, John McDaniel, who oversees C89, the dance station out here, got them in full rotation over there. They're about to go on KEXP, Dawn station over there.
Nice.
So maybe at some point I can make the introduction and you guys can chat and talk. But I think they'd be a good group of guys for you to meet and connect with. So
yeah, I would love to do that.
that'd be great. What are some ways that people can reach out to you on social media to be able to get in contact with you, to just to be able to open up the door, kick off the relationship? I know you've always been open to people reaching out. Is there a social that you're willing to give out on there?
All I have is a Twitter. I don't do the Facebook. That's too much. And
Okay.
IG, no fingerprints, no pictures, man. That's how we're gonna keep that. So
Yeah.
my Twitter handle will be Tall Homie Vitamin / Twitter, or however you look at Tall Homie Vitamin. There we go.
And I'm sure you get a lot of people hitting you up. I mean, you're a you're a well-known producer, not only here, but a lot of people look up to you and respect you on a national level. So yeah, it must be hard to get through all the inbox messages, huh?
Yeah, I gotta say I need to step my email game up a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
But that email address on my Twitter, that's actually a legit address too. So
Okay.
you can email me at that one for the direct contact, and it might take me a week to get back with you, but I'll eventually get back to you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor, man, to have you on the show this afternoon, and feel free to stick around. I don't know what your time commitment is. I'm sure you've got many priorities on the desk.
My daughter didn't take her shoes to school for track practice, so I gotta be dad.
That's a priority. So totally understandable. And like I said, man, I really appreciate you coming on with me today. And we'll you and I'll chat off the air.
Yeah.
And we'll continue these proper efforts and these proper channeling efforts to get a lot of your guys in here. And I appreciate the opportunity that you're allowing me to not only have yourself in the level that you're at, Vitamin D, but other artists as well that you're working with.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Bro.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My show producer Erica is outside of the studio. Like I said, you're more than welcome to hang out with us. If you have to go, I totally understand. Until I transition into my next in studio guest, I want to give a big shout out to CMP Entertainment. CMP Entertainment, my boy Cristiano and Pierre. They did a lot for me. They provided a lot. And they really stepped up to the plate for my big launch party that I had here this past Saturday at Studio 110.live's headquarters. So I really appreciate everything that they've done. They really stepped up, and it was a lot of hard work. So I want to give a huge shout out to CMP Entertainment, Cristiano and Pierre. And speaking of CMP Entertainment, we got a big Vitamin D. You're invited. We got the Laugh Your Ass Off with Icons of Comedy. We got a big comedy show coming June 30th at the Shower Center in Kent. Tickets are on sale right now. You can go to the box office. You can call them. You can go on their website. Just look up Shower Center. Man, we got a star-studded lineup. We got the one, the only, the man, Bill Bellamy. Just always a great guy to work with. You know, an actor, obviously a stand-up comedian on Russell Simmons' Def Comedy Jam. Just a guy that's created a lot of new pathways for a lot of up-and-coming comedians, and showed them the proper way. You know, came from New Jersey, East Coast guy, and a lot of people don't know this, but he's actually Shaquille O'Neal's cousin. So at Shaquille O'Neal's birthday party a couple months ago back in Los Angeles, we all kind of sat at the same table, and it was a good kind of bonding moment to be there.
I didn't know that. Maybe that explains how why Shaq is so involved in stand-up comedy, because I love his specials. Like,
Yep. And then we got D. Ray Davis, our guy D. Ray Davis. We got Dion Cole. Dion Cole will be hosting this bad boy. I'm speaking of the Laugh Your Ass Off with Icons, a comedy show. We got Ada Rodriguez, we got Marlon Wayans, and we got Melanie Camacho. So we're giving you...
Oh, that's huge.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're giving you 6 prime-time, top-notch comedians with top-notch talent. And, man, I always say this throughout the years, too. I always say, don't let it be too late. Don't let these tickets sell out, and then you're going to miss out. And then, unfortunately, you'll have to go to other resorts to try to be at this event. You're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to get these tickets. They're going quickly. Get them right now at the Shower Center box office. You can go online. You can call them. You can do whatever you do to come out and support the Laugh Your Ass Off with icons of comedy, CMP Entertainment, Cristiano and Pierre, two of my guys up here, my guys. And once again, thank you to those guys for all that they did for me for the big Studio 110.live launch party this past Saturday. I really do appreciate it sincerely. And looking forward to all the upcoming future events that we collectively do here as a group here at Studio 110.live. So hopefully you'll be in a mood where you'll be able to put the artists aside for a minute, all your wide range of artists that you work with, and come out to the event, man. So
yeah, I'll make the time.
There you go. That was Vitamin D. Vitamin D, the one and only Vitamin D, a producer, an MC, a DJ. There's so much to talk about, but you know what? We got the important things out that we needed to discuss today, and we'll get Vitamin D back into the studio. Now he knows what's happening. He's known what's happening, but now with him being in here with me, we'll get him back in, and maybe next time you come in, we can bring some of these artists in and play some of their music and cool. Unveil them properly.
Yeah, definitely with that.
Cool. Thank you very much, Vitamin D.
Man, thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I want to welcome my next in studio guest. You can actually sit, Gianni, where Vitamin D was sitting. Gianni, Vitamin D, Gianni.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
And I'll look forward to transitioning from. Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate you coming in, and you and I will keep in contact. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, cool. So let's transition here. Studio 110.live, Dirty Harry on the air. It's a Monday afternoon. Excited about the show. Thank you to everyone, including yourself and your lovely girlfriend who came out to support my big event this past Saturday. My launch party was great. I had Josh from the Deadliest Catch here. I had a lot of pretty big figures up here that came and supported. And that you just see the love. You see the love in the room. You see the overall respect. So it was a great overall event. Thank you to Gianni for coming out and supporting the event. A couple reasons why I wanted to have you on the air with me today is you're getting ready. This is not a sad goodbye, but it's a happy ending and new trail moving forward for Gianni. Gianni represents an up and coming national brand called Clubbing 101. And Clubbing 101 is a one-two stop virtual concierge destination where if you're going, and I'm going to have him pick up on this, but if you're going out to Wisconsin and you want to go to the hottest club in Wisconsin, whatever part of Wisconsin you're going to, Gianni and his staff at Clubbing 101 will provide you that experience. So it's an unforgettable experience, and you'll want to continue to use Clubbing 101 for future entertainment purposes. It was great to come to your farewell party last night. It was fun to meet all your buddies, and it was just a good all around night. So welcome back to the show, Gianni here. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having us again, man. It's always a good time with you guys.
I said goodbye to you last night, but I said, you know what? When I got back in my car, I said, you know what? I got to get my guy back on the air once more before he moves to Las Vegas. So let's talk about the reasoning here and the thought process of this overall move. It's a positive thing overall for you to be in a market like Las Vegas, because that's one of the biggest party scenes in the country, if not the world. But where are we at with Clubbing 101, and what do we hope to accomplish by being down in good old Las Vegas with Clubbing 101?
Absolutely. I think being closer to where the action is really going to be, it's going to be a lot easier for us to kind of control what's happening. I think that also it's going to help kind of grow the branding side of things in a more effective way. So being where the scene's at, just to kind of partner up and make sure that everything's in order. So
good.
It's good.
And where are we at overall with Clubbing 101 right now? I mean, I know there's been some new developments, some new points of traction that have come into play with it.
Absolutely. We have the new site coming out here probably within the next couple weeks or so.
Okay.
And it's going to iterate 4 major cities: New York, LA, Miami, and Vegas.
Okay.
And then as far as simplifying the process too to get connected, it's going to be the easiest thing for consumers to use ever. So
good.
I'm definitely looking forward to the launch of that and really just jump into this thing full force. It's time to win. So.
Good. And can you just talk about the overall process in terms of what people can expect and how easy it is to sign up and get connected with Clubbing 101, and just a couple of the testimonials that you've had the opportunity to hear about from people's wonderful experiences in association with Clubbing 101?
100%. So ultimately with the site, you would go onto the site, you fill out a form. The form probably takes about 30 seconds.
Okay.
So it just asks you about, how many people are in your group, the dates that you're going, what the occasion is, and your contact info. And then once we actually receive your info, or our host will receive your info, then they'll contact you immediately and try to actually set up what you want to do in the city based off what your criteria. So if it's birthday parties, they'll say, do you want bottle service or do you want VIP entry? They'll give you your pricing options. They'll give you everything from there. Like we talked last time, it's about everything in Vegas is pretty much done by handshake.
Yeah.
So, working with a dedicated professional to set everything up is going to get you a better deal in the overall picture.
Yep.
And then ultimately having the host, integrate the most up-to-date technology is really what we're trying to implement, so that way it's a simple process for the consumer as well.
Yep. And so it's a real easy 1-2 setup process, and it's such a beneficial new platform for people, because not everybody, if they're going on a business trip or they're going to see family. I have a lot of friends that are super into nightlife. I mean, I don't even know what I would do if I was going to, Pittsburgh or a remote town in America where I don't know anybody. I need that type of service.
100%. It's the Uber of nightlife, really. At the end of the day.
Yep.
We want you guys to come back in every city and know that you have a trusted professional.
Yep.
And these guys are rated, reviewed, and they're trusted. So you're always going to be reassured that you have someone that's doing legit business with you.
Yep. And I'm super excited. I know a fair amount of people in Las Vegas, and people always take care of me when I go down there. But now with you being down there and your sidekick, your girlfriend being down there with you, Vegas is known for all the club, not only the club parties, but the pool parties as well. And you definitely have to know someone to get into these, top-notch parties. So I'll give you a couple days heads up next time I come through, and we'll make it a Gianni Dirty Harry little road trip around the Strip in Las Vegas, and let's get in one of those long stretch limos with a hot tub in the back. Let's really do it. Let's really do it properly. So
yeah, we'll be sitting in Sin City for sure. we'll have a lot of fun.
And I'm sure you're excited because Seattle's a great market. The Seattle nightlife is definitely stepping up in the proper, effects, but it's definitely nowhere like Las Vegas. And I think Las Vegas will be a good future home for you. And I know that you'll have nothing but huge success down there. And then it sounds like after you take care of the business that needs to be associated in Vegas, then you're off to LA.
Correct. We'll be home based in LA eventually. Okay. So our plan is 3 months in Vegas, just kind of ramp everything up quickly.
Okay.
And then from there we'll be in LA. And once the site's up and running, though, we'll be able to connect you in the 4 major cities right away. So it's not like we're not connecting people. We got that side of it set in stone.
So then will you be moving or have to go to South Beach, for Miami? Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to be traveling between New York, LA, Miami, and Vegas.
Good.
And New York.
Good.
Yeah.
So when he's in these all these executive meetings, you'll be the one holding the cell phone, answering the phone calls. Like not only are you're the girlfriend, but you're also like the Gianni Clubbing 101 personal assistant, making sure that no phone calls go to voicemail after the second ring.
Personal bodyguard.
Personal bodyguard.
Personal bodyguard.
Yeah.
I like that better.
You'll carry like the taser or like the mace or the bear spray, and the people get in his face.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun, right?
Should have nunchucks.
And I'll have my nunchucks with me.
Yeah, and your background is you're in the fitness background. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this last time you were in, and fitness. Wasn't planning on talking about much of it today, but I figured hey, let's touch on personal fitness because it affects everybody.
It does, yeah.
Eating properly and the proper dietary commitments to each individual's bodies are very important. What are some quick pieces of advice that you give to people that are trying to look good for summer, tone down, eat properly from a professional like yourself?
Yeah, I think my best advice would be actually cutting out processed food. So anything that has more than one ingredient, I would try and limit those foods.
Okay.
Those are going to really be a key factor if somebody wants to lose weight or just feel better overall.
Okay.
Those are going to help, just cutting processed food out altogether.
Her saying was if a caveman can't make it, don't eat it.
There you go.
It's true.
There you go. And I had you and I went, and then we all went as a group to one of my favorite restaurants. It's a known platform here in the Northwest for people listening nationally. They'll have no idea what I'm talking about. It's called the Bamboo Garden. What were your guys' thoughts? Because most people, when I say vegetarian Chinese food and they say tofu, they start running. But it was really no reason to run, right?
Yeah, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
I was in shock. We had the Harry Special.
Yeah, the Dirty Harry Special.
Dirty Harry Special, number 62.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it went really well. I mean, the tofu, you couldn't even taste the tofu.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was such a a little scared to try it.
Yeah,
first, so.
and that's not an abnormal thing. People, when it comes time to talking about these types of ingredients, they get a little bit nervous. Going back to Clubbing 101 here, Gianni. So what's going to be once we embark and get to Las Vegas safely? What are some of the first meetings that will be dealt with that'll be going into proper channeling effects that you can talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be setting up, obviously building partnerships with more hosts, I think, but more importantly, getting traffic to the site. So if you're going to Vegas, you know anyone going to Vegas or LA, Miami, New York, and LA. So like if you know anyone going to those cities, though, send them to Clubbing 101, and they'll be getting connected to someone in the city that can take care of them.
Good. And I told you this, and I was partially joking, but partially being serious, and no pressure. But someday when I come down to Las Vegas and visit you guys, I want to go down the escalator at the airport. I think the airport there is a McLaren. Is that the airport in Las Vegas?
The McCarran Airport, yeah.
McCarran Airport, yes. And thank you. And I want to go down the escalator towards baggage claim, and I want to see a big frickin' sign. Clubbing 101 welcomes you to the party capital of the country. I mean,
right when you're going down the escalator.
Right when I'm going down the escalator. Yeah.
Say going out tonight? ?
Yeah. and either with your face on there or someone's face on there, and I think it would be a very inviting invitation.
Oh, I think, and we're onto something there. We'll work out something.
That's just our competitive side talking, but no one else is doing what you're doing, and look at all these these Microsoft guys and these tech guys that go down there. They don't know. They don't know people in the industry.
100%.
They're lost. And that's why these hotel concierges now there's some real competition coming into play.
There is, but at the same time too, this is what is amazing is like it's either these people are going to get taken advantage of, right? They're going to be dealing with 10 different people, 10 different places, and spending an arm and a leg, which they can afford to. Most of the people doing that can afford to do that. So at the same time, like having like a face to a name before you get there. We had an incident where we've had actually a couple of the clients that have gone through this thing where they've paid in advance and locked tables down in better spots in the club because they're paying ahead of time to actually lock it down, say a couple weeks or a month in advance. That's amazing. Like you're getting a better deal than you would if you got there. People are going to be paying a premium for waiting last minute. So that's been amazing, as well as people, once you work with the host and say you hit it off and it's good business and you feel like everything went great and awesome, you can actually work with that person again when you go back to town.
Yep.
So we're really just connecting. We're filling that gray area to get people connected.
And what's kind of a wide range, because I'm not familiar and I don't know. I'm curious to know, like when you want to just get a table at from low end to high end on a Thursday night or a Friday or Saturday night in prime time Las Vegas, what's going to kind of be the price range or the price breakdown to get a table or a booth in a Vegas club?
So it will depend on where you're located, obviously in the club, right? Like the closer you are to the DJ, the more expensive, and the further back, the cheaper. But ballparkish, like you'll be looking anywhere between, it could be as low as $1,000 to have a table, and it could be as high as to even lock a table down at, say, a Hakkasan or an Omnia on a Friday, Saturday with Tiesto or Calvin Harris. It's going to be $10,000.
Really?
So table minimums there could be 10,000 or more. So we had a client recently that locked down a table. It was a group of 15, came out a month in advance, locked out the best seats they could possibly get, like closest to DJs for 2 nights, and they held a credit card on file for about $8,000 just to lock the spot down before they even spent any money when they got there. So these people are again, it's for average Joe Schmo down the street who just wants to get into the club, and it's for people that want to spend big money.
Yeah.
So.
And when you're paying that type of money, $8,000 to $10,000 is you're getting the whole VIP treatment, I would guess. I mean, you have your own line, you have your own entrance. I mean, you have probably your own multiple waitresses. Yeah,
absolutely. The different experiences for different people, but the good news is we connect you to everyone to fill all your needs. So you're going to be treated the same way with all these hosts regardless, but obviously if you have a table, it's a little bit special.
Now, talking about the pool parties, because Vegas is well known, in the summertime for all the pool parties and the outdoor parties. Who's holding down the number one pool party down there right now, would you say?
Ooh, who would it be? Was it Zed? I think Zed is holding it down. You have Wet Republic,
yep.
Which obviously does great at MGM. I love that place. and marquee pool party.
Okay.
So really just depends on the DJs though. DJs come and go. There's so many of them now that you're like. I love Major Lazer though. You can't go wrong with Major Lazer.
My guy DJ Scene down there has definitely been for the past few years. Definitely been climbing up the ranks pretty fast. He was definitely kind of expected to be the next DJ AM, the late DJ AM, and he's he's got a couple residencies down there, but he also plays all over the world. And of course it was super sad. I know Avicii did a lot of wonderful performances down in Las Vegas. I know it was definitely tough for a lot of the promoters and the hotel guys down in Vegas to lose a guy like him because he had a strong following. People came in from all over the country to watch Avicii, the world too.
Yeah.
The world to see Avicii. And 20 is just way too young, especially for a DJ like himself. If you're just tuning into the show again, I got my guy Gianni from Clubbing 101 getting ready to head on the road tomorrow, correct?
Yep, we're moving tomorrow. Yep,
moving tomorrow, leaving tomorrow. So where's going to be the final Seattle dinner spot? What's the final attraction that's going to be into place before you say goodbye?
Oh man, I'm between Momiji and Capitol for sushi.
Okay,
which I'm a huge fiend for.
Is Vegas not well known for sushi? Or
no, you don't want to eat seafood in the desert. It takes 8 hours or so to get there on a truck. So that's $7 sushi. Stay away from that. In Vegas.
Just asking for food poisoning, huh?
Yeah.
Nothing worse than just being sick in your hotel room when you're down there trying to have a fun time. So.
Oh right, like it's hey, why you hung over today? No, it was just that sushi. Just the sushi.
That salmon roll. I mean, I knew I should have ate some cooked salmon.
The rainbow roll was so beautiful on the way out. It's so gross.
Let's talk about the road trips. You're not flying. You're driving.
Yeah, we're gonna drive.
So you're heading east on 90 and going through Idaho, and then you're heading down from there. What's the flight plan?
We were thinking about doing that. We're really kind of debating whether we want to do that or coastline, but there's a 90% chance we'll just drive straight there, get our stuff
straight there.
In. Yeah.
So you can divide up 8.5 hours each behind the wheel, or
no, she's gonna have me behind the wheel all 17.
All 17 hours.
Yeah, that's just how I like driving though. It works.
Just a lot of vitamin waters and a lot of energy drinks. Just
I got the Spotify playlist ready to go.
Good.
I got your show on the go as well. So
I appreciate that. Thank you. Are you the type of guy that when you're driving, you got the headphones on, and if there's 4 other people in the car, you just wouldn't even know they're there? You just
No, she's the one with the noise canceling headphones on, and I'm the one blasting the music in the car the whole time. So.
Well, it sounds like it'll be a fun road trip, and I think it might be fun to check in with you.
Oh yeah,
to see where you're at, where the Clubbing 101 road trip is at currently, and to make sure you get down there safe and sound, because that's the most important thing. And hey, it's always good to see the scenic routes and views of this wonderful country, and not a lot of people have the time or opportunity to do that. So it's definitely cool that you're definitely doing it, and excited to come down there and see what Clubbing 101 is really about.
Yeah, we're excited, man, and I think everyone's gonna love it, so it will be great for everyone.
Oh, I know everybody will love it, and you really, like I said, I love the illustration that you're putting into play from the creative side, and this amazing opportunity that you're providing to people, not only nationally but internationally, because a lot of people aren't connected. They don't know how to connect with the right people, and there's a lot of venues down in Las Vegas. I wanted to kind of touch on this, where it's not like Seattle and other markets where you stand in line and you get in. You have to know someone to get in.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of every city provides a different set of challenges, right? So obviously LA, smaller venues, but you have to really know somebody to get in there. Vegas, you could pay for a ticket. Someone's going to buy a ticket online from the club or from the hotel for $150, but you're sitting in a 3-hour line.
Yep.
So it's crazy and it's not to be cocky. It's just more of like knowing and being from Vegas. I've never had to buy a ticket or wait in line living there. It's just, if you know how to get connected the right way, which is what I'm going to be doing for the masses, you don't have to do this, or you set it up in advance and you're doing it for even potentially cheaper than you would have done if you got there. So there's definitely a lot of upside for both the promoter or host and the consumer to get connected early. I mean, you're saving so much time and stress and money. So.
Who wants to stand in line for 3 hours? I mean,
nobody.
You you can, just flying down to Vegas is under 3 hours. I mean, think about it. Who wants to stand in line in 3 hours just to get into a club?
Correct. Or you got people that buying tickets on the strip. They get scammed out, and then they're buying it again. And it's such a the nightlife industry is such an aura to it, in its own way. Or we're gonna really just kind of make it have a face.
And what's cool and what's great about the nightlife industry is it's never going anywhere. People
Correct.
are always going to want to go out. It's not something that'll ever go out of business, out of style. People are always going to want to go out. Not everybody, but there's always enough people to be able to fill up a venue to go out to have a good time on a Friday, Saturday night, whether it's a birthday party, bachelorette party, bachelor party, special occasion. We always need these types of destination spots, in markets like Las Vegas and other markets as well.
To make it that much better, I wanted to point out too, imagine people traveling from Europe or internationally, right? They obviously speak a different language.
Yep.
So when they get to the city, if they don't know what's going on, that's where they're really getting taken advantage, or like they're having to pay full retail, or they're dealing with that stuff. So our real goal is also to find hosts and promoters that we can partner with that are bilingual, that can cater to a specific market.
Very important.
And that way we're able to connect these people before they get there with someone that they can actually connect with.
Yep.
So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing on both sides.
Well, I'm super excited, and I've expressed this now many times to you, Gianni, for what you're building out, and anything that I can continue to do to help you with my show or with any of us here at our headquarters. We would definitely be honored to help you and come down there and celebrate with you at one of those big pool parties in Las Vegas, or one of your nightclub destinations in Vegas or Miami or New York or Los Angeles, wherever it is. So
absolutely, we look forward to having you guys. Thank you guys for partnering with us all the time and being supportive. We have nothing but love for you guys, honestly. So we look forward to taking care of everybody and having a good time.
Absolutely. Don't go anywhere yet. I want to give a couple more shout outs here in appropriate needs. My guys at CMP Entertainment, Cristiano and Pierre, really did a lot for my launch party this past Saturday, from alcohol to just to everything, from alcohol to security to food. So really want to shout out CMP Entertainment, Cristiano and Pierre. Thank you for all that you did to provide my party just with the top echelon characteristics. So I really do appreciate that. Speaking of CMP Entertainment, we got the Laugh Your Ass Off with Icons of Comedy show. It's happening June 30th at the Show Center in Kent. Tickets are officially on sale right now. You can go to the Show box office. You can go online. You can do whatever you got to do to be able to come out and support a great comedy event. We got Bill Bellamy. We got D. Ray Davis, Dion Cole, Ada Rodriguez, Marlon Wayans, Melanie Camacho. Man, I'm super excited for this event. We got 6 primetime A-list comedians coming out to this big event coming up June 30th. So it'll be a really fun evening, good vibes, and who doesn't want to go to a really fun comedy show? That's what it's about at the end of the day. So super excited for what those guys are building out with us here at Studio 110.Live's headquarters, and looking forward to having a couple of the guys call in and stop by the studio, and so we can get to know them a little bit more on the air, and maybe they'll give us a couple sneak previews on what they're going to be putting out to make people ultimately put tears in their eyes. Ultimately, when you go to a comedy show, you gotta laugh to the point that you're almost tearing up. It's so freaking hilarious. So super excited about that event and all the upcoming events that we have here at our headquarters, and we got a lot of fun things coming up. So I'll have to keep you abreast. Both of you guys have to keep you guys in the loop, and maybe for some of them you'll come back up. It's only a hop, skip, and a jump. It's under 2 hours by airplane to fly from good old Las Vegas up to Seattle. A couple other stories on the music news side of things today to address on this Monday afternoon. 50 Cent reacts to Daz Dillinger telling gangs to beat Kanye West's ass. Crips versus Kardashians. That'll be an interesting story to hopefully we'll have some time to dive into a little bit later. Amber Rose's bedroom teasing. Rita Ora is in play on this story. We'll have an opportunity to talk about that. Travis Scott makes rare social media appearance to celebrate something special. Hopefully we'll get an opportunity to talk about that. The Rock gives Kevin Hart the people's elbow with Savage IG post. Talk about that. Always like talking about big music news stories. My guy Nipsey Hussle flames Kanye West. With Kanye West did come out last week and say that he loves Donald Trump and that he considers Donald Trump his brother. Now other artists are coming out and giving their opinion and thoughts on this story, regardless of what your opinions are, and on a political level. I don't discuss that on this show. I keep it very respectful, but I have to talk about stories, especially when Kanye West is referring to Donald Trump as his brother. I said last week, I mean, how long will it be before I see Kanye West and Donald Trump on a golf cart, golfing next? Won't that be the day? The day that you hear Donald Trump, in the studio on a Kanye West track. That'll really be the day.
His Yeezy golf shoes will be the big hit at that one. So.
Yes. That's a good one. R. Kelly apologizes for letting fans down. He says he's never heard of a show being canceled because of rumors. What else do we got today? Cardi B says it's a wrap when her mini me arrives. Ever since I got pregnant, I got this new beef. So plenty of wonderful music news stories, interesting music news stories to be able to get into today on a Monday afternoon show. And I love talking about music news stories because these are national big stories, and I want to be the outlet to provide many things on my show. Music news stories, the latest on fashion, nightlife, tech, pop culture, food, everything that you're doing. So it's always fun to be able to do many things on the show. Have a lot of artists come in here, play their music. So let's talk about this for a minute. Cardi B is back on her Beef Grizzly when Offset's baby arrives, obviously from the Migos. The hip-hop diva has promised to address her new beef after she welcomes her mini-me into the world. Well, unfortunately, she has to, I guess, get into the beef after she brings in her new baby. I mean, most people would focus on, being a proud mom, but she wants to get some beef out of the way first. Some new footage has surfaced of Cardi B talking about tensions brewing ever since getting knocked up. This is from Cardi B. She says, yes, the B word, we gonna be forever. You know what? Ever since I got pregnant, all of a sudden, I got this new beef every day, blank, got something to say. Wait till I drop this baby. It's going to be crazy. Wait till I drop this baby. So this is Cardi B coming out saying that she's, I'm guessing it's probably with Nicki, probably stemming on this Nicki beef. And now she's continuing the platform to be able to come in and talk about that. So let's hope first that the baby's a healthy baby, and then we can get into the latest on that. The latest with Bill Cosby, that came out last week, that he was found guilty in the court of law about the latest accusations. It's a very unfortunate story. I've always liked Bill Cosby. But now the gal that kind of brought this on, ultimately, one of his accusers is saying some pretty harsh things. Former Playboy model Victoria Valentino didn't have nice things to say when TMZ asked her about what she thinks about the comedian should get when he gets sentenced, and she said straight up, Cosby should get the same special treatment he gave her. Translation, Cosby should get not treated well in prison if he has to go to prison. She goes on to call Cosby the most prolific serial blank of the 20th century. So I think that's a little, look, I mean, everybody has their right to express how they feel in terms of their opinions on these national stories. We never want to see anybody going through these hard times. Never an easy thing to have to go through, but hopefully the whatever truth needs to come out will come out, and we wish his camp all the best in these troubling times. With that being said, Gianni, I'm sure I'll give you a call this evening, if not run into you around the city tonight. Thank you again for coming in this afternoon. Thank you to both of you for coming in, and we look forward to keeping in contact with you, and we will wish you nothing but safe journeys And we want to see Clubbing 101 as the biggest national new attraction, not only in Las Vegas, but in Miami, New York, Los Angeles, and Vegas. So all the best to you. Thank you for everything that you did while you were up here. It was a wonderful relationship into play with you, and I look forward to keeping in contact with you. So
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure to be here. So.
always a pleasure. And tell your buddy who's got the buddy, one of your buddies that I met last night, that's got the tree company.
Yes.
That we'll definitely get him on. He's a riot. He's a kick. You know.
Yeah, Alex is a hoot, but he'll be great. I think he'll be great. He does a lot of good for the city, so he'll be good.
It'll be good to get him on here, and we'll tie him into tech. You know, whoever thought, you know, the guys when you're driving down the road with those big, huge ladder trucks cutting down those massive trees. I mean, you know, that's what the show is about. Everything from the newest, upcoming, biggest artists locally and nationally to guys that have, you know, companies that started off with, you know, $400,000. Now they're over $1 million. So
Correct.
That's what we're about here at Studio 110.live. Thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it.
All right, talk to you soon.
And Erica will show you the proper way out of the studio. And I will welcome in my my next in-studio guest here that I'm excited about. We've known each other for some time. I'm told that I have to check something here on the audio, on my audio stream here with my. Let's see here what we got here. We got this must be a song, correct? Okay, this is a song that we will hopefully have the time to play today. If we don't play it during this segment, we will play it at another appropriate time. If I can welcome in my in-studio guests, you guys can sit right here and make sure you get those headphones on. And we will. It's a busy show today, so I want to make sure I get everybody in at the proper time. I'm a little bit over, but you know what? That's fine because that's what I do. You know, my show is 1 to 3, but if I have to stay on longer, I stay on longer. It's a step of respect that I like to show my guests here at Studio 110.live. So I got my guy here in the studio. You and I have gone back. We've if you guys want to come close to the mics here for me, you and I have gone back for quite a while. We always run into each other at shows. I've seen you a lot at good old Nectar in Fremont, and you always have good visibility. You're a well respected figure out here in the city. You do a lot for artists and for shows, and that's what the show's about, man. Music, fashion, nightlife, pop culture, tech, food. So it's great to have you on. Introduce yourself for me, and then I'll have your sidekick here, your guest introduce herself. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on the show. Studio 110 Live. We are right here, live and direct. My name is Eric, a.k.a. Network 206, to those that do know me. I also have here with Dice Cunningham, my artist that I just recently signed on to Brave Movement Entertainment.
Great.
So we are just here, you know, pushing her to get her to the next level of her career where she needs to be.
Good.
Man, thank you for having us on the show.
That's what it's about, man. I just had Vitamin D in here a short time ago, and he said the same thing that Sir Mix-a-Lot said is, you know, it's great to not only have me back on the air, but it's great to be able to give the proper elements into place to have people like yourself and Vitamin D to come in here, because there's no other outlets in the city that provide a radio show like this. So,
well, rest in peace, John Moore, and
Yeah.
thank you very much to Hyphen and himself for doing street sounds and all that for so long.
Yep.
Amen.
Yep.
Vita has worked on several of my projects, and I've been on several of his, so it's nice to see him here as well.
Yep. It was good to get Vitamin D, and he told me that he's got like 10 plus projects right now just on his desk in his studio, and that says a lot. Some producers, depending on the level that they're at, can just do one, and some of them are waiting for the phone to ring.
That sounds overwhelming.
Yeah, he's got 10 artists that he's currently working with, and he's a well-respected guy.
Yes, he is.
In the network and in the area here of the Northwest. So let's kind of get this kicked off here properly. You're always working on multiple projects. Obviously, you've got your new artist here that you just took under your wing to show her the proper footsteps. In addition to that, what are some other priorities right now on Mr. Network's desk currently?
Well, right now it's just mainly focused on Dice Cunningham and the skills that she has within her craft and what she's already built a legacy for herself. And so I think what I'm really doing is just adding on to what she's already really started, and I mean, she already has a good team behind her. So I mean, it's just everybody playing their position and being a great team. It takes a great team, to get a career to the next level.
Yep.
And so honestly, for me, I probably, as far as an artist, like on a label. I haven't really had one on my label, so this is my first one.
Yeah.
I've done business with multi-artists, but I haven't really had one sign on, so it's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And she's very talented, has a whole, different style of voice. It's like that neo soul, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, and
Oh, that's an honor.
I just love the feeling.
Don't flatter me now.
I love the feeling when I listen to her music. I'm a rap guy. I'm a hip hop guy. You know what I'm saying? So as we've bumped into each other out in the city there, in the nightlife, that's pretty much the shows that we normally be at. So to branch out and do something new, I'm just spreading my wings and flying to something different, man. So.
And talk about how you guys connected up. How did the overall connection happen?
Well,
man, it's been a minute, right?
Well, yeah, it's been a minute. So excuse me. So it started off, I think, 10 plus years ago. We just kind of bumped into each other. I want to say,
Probably back in like the foundation days. My second mixtape 10 years ago.
Right. So it started off there, and then we haven't talked really since. And then came across at the Devin the Dude show. Shout out to G Perez, Devin the Dude, M.80 and all them.
Shout out to J Bars for bringing me to perform, because it was an honor to see all those gentlemen again.
Right, do for self as well. But back to that. We the Tacoma show at the Alma Mater, darling. Alma Mater, thank you.
Brand new, beautiful venue.
It's
Make
a dope
sure you
venue.
get there. It's
so
dope.
we met up there. It was good to see each other. How I normally see you. You know, it was just like great connection, great vibe.
Yep.
So we just got in discussion there, and we were like, definitely got to keep in touch. And man, it's been a month
It's been
less.
a month, and we definitely making moves already. Like we are busy.
That's pretty quick. I mean, people, you're already getting signed to his network, and within a month. So it sounds like someone's doing something right around here.
We're definitely focused.
You can come a little closer to the mic here for me.
We are definitely focused. Absolutely, sir. Thank you, Mr. Harry.
No problem. No problem.
I
I want everybody
listening to you. By the way.
Did you? Did I always put a smile on your face?
You did, really. So it's a super honor to be here sitting with you. I appreciate it very much, the opportunity.
Thank you, and I appreciate you being here. And it's all about respect and not burning any bridges, and keeping the doors open. That's what it's about. That's the way I was always taught. And speaking to my guy Nasty Ness, who came up and surprised me this week, and he taught me a couple key fundamental things back in the day as a kid going to Roosevelt High School trying to learn the music business. And that's what it takes.
That was nice to read your bio. Like, I did not know that much information about you, just how much we've, and especially, the radio station that we used to be involved with, and then, just our involvement with all that and the relationship we built, we just never talked about our past and what we've done.
It was a beautiful party. That was a beautiful party. It was nice to see Ness. I haven't seen him in a long time. Had a nice conversation with him. Had a nice conversation with a lot of people.
That was a great charity event, by the way.
Good.
Very nice.
It was a fabulous event.
I've only heard great positive things. And speaking of the event, CMP Entertainment, Cristiano and Pierre, who really stepped up and made a lot of things very vibrant and elaborate. I want to thank those guys. And then, of course, they're bringing the Laugh Your Ass Off with Icons of Comedy to the Shower Center June 30th. We got Bill Bellamy coming. We got D. Ray Davis. We got, it's a star-studded lineup, A-list only around here. Dion Cole, Ada Rodriguez, Marlon Wayans, Melanie Camacho. So it's gonna be a great event. You got to get those tickets though. You know how it is, man.
I do.
You remember every year when I used to announce all those Summer Jam artists on the air. I always say get those tickets before they're sold out, because once they're sold out, I mean, we
don't have time to be standing at the door.
No.
To what's going on,
especially for a show like Bill Bellamy and Dion and D. Ray. I mean, these are some A-level comedians.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So it's gonna be a great event. What were your guys' favorite parts about my launch party this past Saturday up here at our headquarters?
I want to say there were some beautiful models. Definitely, I like the gowns, what they were wearing.
Oh, shout out to Abigail, Miss Washington. She's actually going to Miss USA.
Yes, she is.
The week after next.
That's Louisiana.
Actually, the irony of that is that Abigail is my stylist's cousin.
Wow.
So I was just hanging out with Abby the other day. So we saw each other at the party, and it was like, hey, girl, how are you? Whatever.
There you go.
So anyway, I know that she's going to be having her send-off party, and we're so excited for her. And I hope that Washington brings the award home.
I hope so, too. I told her I feel pretty positive and pretty good all around that she will be the next Miss USA, and that'll be a big platform for her. So I hope she wins that, and I hope her career continues to get to the level that ultimately needs to be, and the level that she wants it to be at too, which is important, So overall, it was a great party from my guy DC, Channel 8 TV. I'm all about teaming up with the right charitable organizations, he provides this wonderful organization here locally where he gives these students trying to learn television and media, trying to learn it. And there's not a lot of outlets here. I mean, there are some schools that teach it, but DC's organization is great, and I'm looking forward to teaming up with him and allowing some of these students to come in and learn. So let's talk about some artists that you are excited to possibly have the opportunity to collaborate with in the studio, maybe on stage, locally, other national artists that you want to be able to connect your brand into place with.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's actually there's a lot of local situations that I find lovely. I think I spend a lot more of my time listening to local music than I do popular music, quote unquote, because I feel like I know there's so much talent in this pool out here. I would love to do some more stuff with Saul. I would love to go on tour. If I could take my bands and Tiffany Wilson out on the road, I would be happy about that. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Vitamin and I have a great working relationship, so he's welcome to anything that I'm doing. He's got several tracks placed on this album that I'm working on right now, actually.
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, like, we just want to build and win. We have so much local talent here in the Northwest.
Yes, we do.
And it's beautiful to see. I feel so honored to be here, seeing that I'm coming after people such as Macklemore and other of these very established individuals you've had on your show, because, essentially, I just would like to do the same thing for the area.
Yeah.
And bring good music to people. And, if what we're doing is not necessarily pop music, but it is coming from the heart, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to put it any other way than that. So it's like, essentially, we're focused, we're ready to build. Very excited to be getting out here and doing this. We're opening for Day 26 in Portland on Wednesday, which is exciting. And then we'll be coming straight back up here and doing the Nate Jackson Comedy Show in Tacoma at the Alma Mater. Great. As I believe he mentioned a moment ago. And
tell Nate I said hello, please. I haven't seen him in a little while.
I will. I haven't seen him in a long time either. Like,
I know he moved to LA to pick up on his career, and I know it's suiting him well down there from what I've heard. So
that's what's up. We came from kind of the same area, so
So just for those Portland heads, there's going to be a Day 26 show out here on May 3rd. Okay. But for the people out in Portland or Tacoma, anywhere close by there, out in Oregon or anything like that, it's going to be at the Paris Theater. Okay. So definitely, it's a blessing. I'm working with the gentleman out there, an event coordinator. By the name of Philip Stiegel, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Okay. And, very great relationship that we built for the short amount of time that it's been. So I just wanted to shout that out. And
did I hear correctly from my producer that I've got a track here that I have is this a track that was sent to me?
Yes, it should be.
Okay. Is this is okay to play? I want to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. I want to make sure that
I forget which one I said.
Did you say it like never let you go? Oh my goodness gracious, he doesn't even know. Whatever it is, we're just gonna rock with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If we can get it, I think we're good to go here. Let's play a little audio here. I like to play music here on the show, supporting our special guests. Hopefully, this will play the way it needs to play here on our
Dice Cunningham live.
Okay, no, we not live, but we gonna listen to it. Y'all can come see us live on Wednesday or Thursday.
Here we go.
Oh, summertime love it is. All right.
It's one of my favorite joints.
Chilling in the month of June is a stunner. A comfy 79 degrees. I love these Washington summers. Breathe in the clean air. Smoke the best weed here. Chill on the beach. Climb a mountain peak. Rain near. Kiss the sky on the needle. Make me wanna kiss this guy. Cause he fly like an eagle. Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee. Charm from the start. Rest in peace to Muhammad Ali. Summertime, 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 summertime. I need that summertime love, 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 love. I need that summertime, 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 summertime.
No idea why that stopped. Let's try it again here. Shouldn't have stopped. Was the track everything okay on your end when you guys sent me this track?
Yeah. Well, just so these folks folks know while we're in the mix, waiting for that to replay. This is called "Summertime Love" off this little project called Sneak Prequel.
Summertime, summertime. I need that summertime love, 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 love. You got me feeling so alive. I could cry with joy. The way you give me butterflies and give me forever or tonight. Come and get me, boy. I need you right here by my side. I need that summertime love. Can't take that away from me. I need that summertime love. Give you all that faithfully. Ooh, baby, I want your summertime love. Every day and everything. Baby, I got this summertime love. If you really want these things, I need that summertime, 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 summertime. I need that summertime love, 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 love. I need that summertime, 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 summertime. I need that summertime love, 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 love. Listen, this beat has got me feeling romantic. Jack Rose, Titanic. Baby, let's get married, Mr. Jagged Edge and Planet. Plate tectonics when we make that magic. Want game strong, that's why nobody else can have it. Maybe it's something foreign, maybe it's some domestic. Maybe a test drive, or maybe it's something tested. Maybe it's pretty eyes, or maybe it's intellect. Maybe between the thighs, and maybe it's in the neck. But maybe it's in the kitchen, maybe it's when they flex. Maybe it's when they spittin', maybe it's what they text. Maybe it's cause they driven, maybe they low stress. And maybe they raise their children and place them above the rest. Maybe it's cause they spiritual God is their best friend. Maybe you see the fire inside of them grows dim. And maybe you see potential, the phoenix that still lives. And choose to support their mental until they are born again. Summertime, 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 summertime. I need that summertime love, 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 love. I need that summertime, 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 summertime. I need that summertime love, 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 love.
Man, shout out to Gene Dexter for the sponsorship on that project and that tour. BOC Music, Real Life Click out of Olympia, Washington.
Man, I really like what I just heard. I love the sound of that record. Those are the types of records that I really like to play. Just those feel-good songs that, when you're at the beach or you're in, the car, you're putting the drop top down around Alki, which is a known area here, or Coulon, or at the barbecue or on the boat. That's the perfect record. So you've definitely got a record there, and that will be in rotation as often as I can fit it in on this fine program here at Studio 110. So
Thank you.
Shout out to you for putting out just a good quality overall, good positive messages into that record. So I definitely appreciate it, and I like what you got going on there. I really do. So and shout out to you, man, for bringing her on. Bringing her on to your crew, and you know what works around there. You've been around for some time.
I'm just sticking to my resources, man. I definitely appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to bring us on this show. Out of all the business that we've done, it's real, recognized, real, and I think that's everything. When you're looking just to get to the next level, and I think that's what people forget sometimes. It's just when you're getting to that next level, you forget like where you really started and who helped open the doors for you.
But you can never forget that, and it's also a beautiful thing when you can have so many talented people cohabitate. I mean, we got Super E Productions in the mix.
Yep.
We got Brave Entertainment Movement.
Brave Movement Entertainment.
Brave Movement Entertainment. Sorry, that's a little speako on my sense.
Right.
Can we even say that? But at any rate, a lady's brain is going a million places at one time.
Right.
It's needless to say, just beautiful to be connecting all the dots with everybody and bringing all these things together. Where they say it connect like Voltron.
Yeah. Yep.
I want to give a couple shout outs. Just look out for Keyshawn. He's been traveling around. He's 19 years old. Been traveling around doing some music. So I've been assisting him and helping him out. He's not signed under BME or anything like that. So I've just been kind of like an assistant towards him. So.
Oh, well, I wanted to say what's up to Donna Matrix.
Right.
I like her. I like that. I like what
Man,
she's
her
doing.
style is dope.
She's fabulous. I know she's dressing Beyonce and Katy Perry and all these beautiful people, and it was so lovely to meet her. She looked so fabulous last night. It was inspiring. So we're going to be building with her also. We're excited about that.
Yeah, she's definitely one to want to be working with and someone to have on your team, because there's not a lot of fashion designers from the Northwest that are making stuff for Beyonce. I'll tell you that. So,
Hey,
No,
look,
that is the truth.
facts.
there really aren't, you know. And there's not a lot of fashion designers around the country that are making stuff for Beyonce.
Exactly. So to actually have that foot in the door or something like that is a big deal.
Yeah, she's been
Right
on with
relationship.
me. She's been on with me a few times, and her and her husband and myself, we're going to sit down for a meal here soon and chat about a few things.
Well, are you
but
going to the barbecue? They're such sweet people. I love them.
I'm going to try my best to make it out. Yes, I was invited. I was invited to attend that. I'm told that the legendary Steve Lobel, you're more than welcome to hang out with me.
Is that Steve Lobel,
Steve
a part
Lo-
of Bone Thugs and Harmony?
Yeah, Steve Lobel will
Okay.
be joining my show here momentarily, and it'll be good to get Steve on. And Steve's a vet in this business. Steve
Yes,
and I have
he
been
is.
doing business for many years with good old Bone Thugs and Harmony, all the summer jams and all the
Oh,
business
shout out
that-
to Lazy Moan.
Yep, for all
Say
the
hi to all the boys over there.
all the business that we did. I'll tell you before Steve calls, and we'll have to abort and pick it up
Right.
later on. But here's good old Steve Lobel calling right now. Steve Lobel, are you on the line with me?
How you doing, buddy?
Good. It's a pleasure to have a known, well-respected international figure like yourself, a vet in the music business, on the air with me. My brand new show, Studio 110.live. If you're just tuning in right now, I got a legend on the line. He goes by Steve Lobel, and he's a humble, modest guy. But anytime people ask me about Steve Lobel, I get right down to it, and I say he really is responsible for Bone Thugs and Harmony and their 40 million albums that they sold worldwide. So that's the type of credit that I give to you, Mr. Lobel.
Thanks for having me on your show, buddy.
I appreciate that. It's been you and I talk from time to time. We talk. We always kind of keep in contact, and you're always doing so many things, man. You're doing so many things for students and for artists, and there's just so much to talk about. I want to get into it right now. What's currently on Steve Lobel's desk on the top priority list these days?
I mean, honestly, to be totally honest with you, living life. I spent 30 years in the music industry. I'm over 50 years old, and I'm trying to live life because we put so much time into what we love and to our career and to our passion, and that sometimes we miss out on life. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm trying to find a lot of balance and live life because tomorrow's not promised. So you ask me a question, I'm going to give you the right answer.
Yep. And one thing that I've always looked up to you too, and everybody should treat their parents the way you treat your father. I see it all the time on social, where you always make it a priority to go out and visit your dad out on the East Coast, where you're from, and just everything that you do for your father. I see you take him to games, to basketball games. You guys are sitting courtside and connecting, rubbing shoulders with the biggest names that you work with. So. Everybody should have the type of relationship that they have with their dad, like you've created for your dad, Steve.
Yeah, well, like I say to people, family's the most important, and sometimes we neglect them or we take them for granted. And when my mom passed away 7 years ago, it made me realize how important a family is. I had a lot of regrets when my mom passed because everybody out there listening that's in the music industry or trying to get into the music business, because it's the music business, we get caught up, and we get caught up in that grind mode, or we're working mode. But at the end of the day, again, the hardest thing in my career was to find balance. When my mom passed away, it made me wake up and realize that everything's not about work and money. And I spend a lot of time with my dad now because that happened. I don't think if that happened, I don't know if I would spend a lot of time with my dad. I don't know, but my dad worked a lot when I was younger. We didn't spend a lot of time together. So now I try to spend as much time as possible, and that's the most important thing. Now, again, if my mom didn't pass, or if you talked to me 10 years ago, I might not have the same attitude. But as you grow up and you go through things, that's what happens.
Yep. And Steve and I have had the opportunity, and it's always been a wonderful relationship throughout my years at my former radio station. I was there for 19 years. You and I remember, Steve, all the business that we put into place with your group, Bone Thugs and Harmony, all the summer jams and all the appearances and everything that you've always been connected with. And, some of the advice that I've learned from you ultimately, and, from DJ Nasty Ness, who opened the door for me and believed in me and got me to Def Jam Records before I went to Cube 93, was to never burn bridges, and to treat people with respect.
Yeah, you hear what you said? You said 19 years at Cube. That's what you call loyalty. That's what you call good karma. That's what you call consistency and hard work. And I tell everybody in this music business or in life in general that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you have to build relationships. A lot of people, they look at the candy. They don't look at the candy factory, which is the bigger picture.
Yep.
They're willing to burn bridges. They're willing to sell their soul, go against their integrity, go against their loyalty, especially the generation of today. Everybody just wants to be cool and wants to be liked and wants to be followed. And they don't have the principles and morals that we come up. And I try to tell people I'm a leader. I'm not a follower. And I try to instill into these young kids out there when I do my speaking engagements, like, be a leader, be creative, be innovative. Don't follow. To be yourself at all times. Never forget where you come from. Like, anybody who knows me for decades know that I'm still the same person. I don't forget where I come from. I come from Queens, New York, and I come in the music industry through the late, great Jam Master Jay of Run DMC.
Yep. And another thing that I've always admired about you, Steve, and I try to do this as often as I can, is I love to go out and do public speaking. I like to speak to schools and to community centers and to leadership groups and to all different opportunities to be able to give them the proper light into this music business. Because, people don't realize, Steve, and you and I get this, but the music business is pretty small. I mean, we all know each other. And, if you do something dumb and stupid in this business, people will know about it.
Yeah, I try to tell people it is the music business. It's not the music industry. It's the music business. It's the business. You want to have good karma. You want to be able to build relationships. I try to tell people that some of my keys to my success is following up. We need to follow up when we meet people and build a relationship organically.
Yes.
Communication is key. Never take no for an answer. Common sense, which is not common. Organization. You have to be organized. You got to be able to have a structure. You got to be able to know your end game. I try to tell these artists that less is more. Quality over quantity. Money comes and goes, but history stays. As long as you can make history, you can make money.
Yep. And if you're just tuning into the big show right now, I've got the legend, one of the most well-respected figures, an icon in the music business, the legendary Steve Lobel, calling me. Are you calling me from Los Angeles, or where are you calling from right now?
Yeah, I'm calling from Los Angeles. I go back and forth from New York to Los Angeles. I live both places. And just for the people that are tuning in or are listening who might not know who I am, which is okay. I'm just like everybody else. I just want to let everybody know out there that we're all celebrities. We're all VIPs. And only one who could judge is God. And I hate when people say, well, the VIP's over there, celebrities over there. No. We're all the same. And that's what we have to use these platforms for, to instill to the younger generation that we're all the same. Yes, certain people have more fame than others, and some people have more money than others, but money and fame should not make a person.
Correct.
Everything goes up, must come down.
Yep.
I always tell people, remain humble. Don't be cocky. You can be confident, but don't be cocky. And that's what happens a lot of times. People get a little money, a little fame, and they start changing, and they start being different than the person they are, and God doesn't like that.
No.
And then they lose their career, or they get cold, and they're not hot no more. So I feel like we're all the same. Just so everybody should know out there, because we're in the music business and this is a music platform. I started in the game through Run DMC and Jam Master Jay, like I said. I went on to meet Easy and work with Easy, rest in peace. Been working with Bone Thugs and Harmony over 20 years. Put together some of their biggest collabs, the Chameleonaire Riding Dirty with Crazy Bone, the Bone and Biggies. I worked with Tupac's group, The Outlaws. Fat Joe, for a long time, was one of the best guys in the game. I introduced him to his wife. 8-Ball and MJG, 3-6 Mafia, Nipsey Hussle, Scott Storch, Sean Kingston, Ayaz, Man, the Beatnuts, M.O.P., Mac Mall, Drew Down, the Loonies, Common, I mean, the list goes on. I've been around for 3 decades. I built a resume. I built stripes. I built accolades, and I worked hard.
You did, and just the list that you just the partial list. I mean, there's far more names on the list than you just put out. But the reason the list continues to expand to this day, Steve, from way back in the day, is the way you treat people. And you're a humble guy. You've got just so much respect, and you still to this day, if there's someone that you're interested in on whatever level it is you give the full circumference. You give that full 360 to artists, whether they're LA based, wherever they are around the country. And that's why you have the name that you do, Steve Lobel.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've been managing the legendary Scott Storch. He had a terrible fall off of his career in the last 2.5 years, working hard, bringing him back in, putting him in the sessions with the most relevant artists today. It's a lot of time consuming. But that's what's been the focus, watching Nipsey grow for 14 years. That's been 14 years in the making. That didn't happen overnight.
No.
No. Things don't happen overnight in this industry. It's a marathon. It's really not a sprint, and it takes time. And patience and sacrifice really equals success. And you just have to be able to, I call myself a dinosaur, but I'm fossil fuel because I know how to stay relevant and navigate through the system and navigate through social media and navigate through the times and evolve. And if you don't change with the times and you're stuck in your ways, it's hard to stay, current in this ever-changing music industry.
Yep. And you always stay so true to the game. And I've always wanted to, you and I have talked about this throughout the years, but let's talk about the relationship that you built up with the Adidas Corporation throughout the years. Because when you do your pictures, whether you're standing next to Jay-Z or Khaled or Diddy or Scott or Bone or the biggest artists, in the world, you always stay true to the game, Steve, and you're always representing your brand, Adidas.
Yeah, I stay true to myself, who I am. Again, I'm not a follower. I'm a leader. I have to be comfortable with who I am and how I am and what I'm wearing, and I have to be comfortable with myself. And putting on a polo sweatsuit and some Adidas or an Adidas sweatsuit, that's who I am. It makes me comfortable. I don't need to put a suit and tie on to be who I am. Again, I'm just me. And I built a long relationship with Adidas because of Run DMC, and I don't burn bridges. That's why I'm very hesitant about, connecting people with my relationships that I worked so hard for, because a lot of my relationships are priceless, and it takes decades to build this. And I try to tell people, I'd rather go to Coachella by myself than bring people that are going to try to leech or leverage me and try to take my connects, or when I walk away, go talk to these people and say, hey, I'm with Steve, and then make me look bad. So I'm very picky in who I bring out and I introduce my relationships to. Like
you should be, Steve. I mean, that's the exact proper way to do it. Let's talk about how, because, Bone Thugs and Harmony are an international, such a, huge name, continue to be such a huge name, and you had so much to do with that. Let's just touch quickly here on how that relationship came about with you and the guys.
I worked at Relativity, Sony, and Eazy had Ruthless Records through there. There's a lot of other artists and labels through there, like Suave House, Hypnotized Minds. But, Eazy had brought them to New York. They met me. Then Eazy passed away, and then I was at the A&R on their solo projects and Mo Doug projects. And we built a relationship organically. I try to tell people in life, everything has to happen organically. You can't force something to be, and you have to build. And we built a relationship organically, and I've been with them over 20 years. Has it been easy? Hell no. It's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been a lot of trials and tribulations. A lot of great times, good times, bad times. It's not easy. You got 5 Kanye West. You got 5 Jay-Z's. You got 5 Fat Joes in a group. There's 5 different egos, 5 different, emotions, 5 different personalities, which is totally not easy. And, to be honest with you, they could be a lot more big than who they are. But, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink.
Correct.
But we've got a good run. They continue to do shows. We got a record we just did with Wiz Khalifa coming out. But again, it's been a long journey.
And you and I both know there aren't too many groups with multiple members in the groups that have sold 40 million plus albums. 40 million plus albums. And a lot of that credit goes to you, Steve. I mean, it really does. So.
No, I don't want to say it goes to me. First of all, the credit goes to Eazy for discovering them the credit goes to those guys for being who they are as artists. But I was just very helpful of keeping it together as much as I can and keeping them on the road and keeping them, relevant and putting out different projects and putting the collabs together, like with Mariah Carey Breakdown or the Bone and Biggies or the Chameleonaires and, the new one that's about to come out with Wiz. I'm just piece of the team because I feel like everybody should know that the winning people have teams, and together everybody achieves more. That's what team stands for. So I'm just part of the team.
And when can we expect to hear the new Bone Thugs Wiz Khalifa record?
That's a Wiz Khalifa question, but I'm sure soon,
There you go.
He's a big Bone fan. He reached out to me. He asked me, to get the guys, and it's not easy to get all 5 members on a song.
Yep.
That's why you don't see all 5 on a lot of songs. But the grace of God, we were able to get all 5 of them on the song.
Wonderful. Well, we're excited to get that record and play it here at Studio 110.live. Your boy who represents Seattle is back on it, Steve Lobel, and it'll be good to at some point. I know you've got a tight, busy schedule, but would like to get you up here in the studio with me, and we'll make it beneficial on all accounts, where you can come up here and maybe do some speaking engagements and have the opportunity to speak with a couple artists and really show them, what this business is about. Because like you said earlier, it's not the industry, it's the business, and that's real talk, bro. It really is. So.
Yeah, because there's people out there saying they're producers, but they don't know what splits is. They don't know what publishing is. They don't know what ASCAP or BMI or CSAC is. Like, how are you a producer and you don't know that type of side of the business?
Yeah.
There's artists out here that's saying they rappers, but they might be a Caucasian rapper, but he never heard of Third Base or the Beastie Boys. Like, I feel like the culture right now is a free for all, and people are just out there trolling and personalities trumping talent and all these tactics on Instagram. I feel like most of these artists need to know and learn who's who and who's what and where it came from and where it started and who's this and who's that. Like, I take it real, real serious, but I love Seattle. I would love to come up there and speak. I would love to come and be in it, on air with you. I think that me and you, we could touch bases on so much stuff. We could definitely speak because we have a lot of knowledge and experience, and that's what people need to do. And I blame the so-called OGs around these young kids who are on the internet wilding out. You're supposed to teach them and educate them and have a mentor in life. Like, my mentor was Russell Simmons and my father, so people should have mentors out there. But like I said, I'm always willing to come up to Seattle and talk, come on the station, network, whatever, catch a football game, whatever it may be.
There you go. And you and I have something similar, and I don't know if you remember this, because we did know each other back in those years. But before I went to my previous former radio station, known as Cube 93 out here, an iconic radio station on a national level, well respected, I did represent Def Jam Records, and I was in a few meetings with Russell Simmons, to say it lightly, throughout my years, and what a role model to be able to speak to him and Lior and all the guys that were at Def Jam back in those years, and because I was the West Coast rep for the brand. So
yeah, two geniuses, Lior Cohen. If you don't know who he is, Google him. And Russell Simmons. I still got my Def Jam jacket. That's how I started. I used to go around Def Jam in the early stages and run DMC and Profile Records.
Yep.
And Rush Management, and used to just listen in and ear hustle and learn and ask questions, and a closed mouth don't get fed.
Correct.
I just want to give everybody some advice out there. Like, the worst thing about life in this business is when you put a lot of hard work into something and people start getting amnesia and they forget who was there when they were coming up and try to help them. That's the worst thing, when people forget, and you get amnesia. The worst thing is when people start getting cocky, when people start not being humble because a little fame or a little money or a little, following comes. It's the worst thing. So all artists out there listening in, or anybody in life, always remain humble, because God don't like ugly, and everything goes up must come down. And it's a hard way down when you're on the top. And I tell people that I'd rather be on cruise control. My career has been on cruise control for 30 years. That means I wasn't up, I wasn't down. I was just idle at a nice pace. And I'd rather be idling at a nice pace than hitting the top and falling to the bottom, or being at the bottom and not getting to the top. And I've had #1 records. I've seen the world numerous amount of times. I've made money. I lost money. I've been there, done that. But when I say idle and cruise control, meaning to have a longevity career, to still be able to, make moves.
Yep, and your personal friend by the name of Mariah Carey years ago taught me something that I'll never forget. I have a good memory, and I always remember key fundamental things. And Mariah Carey is one of those artists that if she's doing, if she's signing autographs or taking pictures after a show, she just doesn't leave anybody out, because she knows that if you start leaving people out after a show, they'll never forget that experience. So artists like Mariah Carey and other artists will always provide that connection, with the fan base. And I remember her telling me that, at an interview when I was at the station, that she just, when she's signing autographs after a show, Steve, like she just signs for everybody. She doesn't want to leave anybody out, because she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to have that branding go into effect where she only signed, 5 or 10, and then she, security brisked her away. So
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, first of all, Mariah's a great person. She's a dear friend of mine. And to all these people out here that don't understand that without your fans, and this goes to football, baseball, basketball, hockey players, artists, actors, actresses, anybody with that celebrity clout, so to speak, even though I said earlier, we're all celebrities. If you don't look out for your fans and you don't take care of your fans, back in the days, it was autographs. These days, it's pictures because, social media. So we're able to, me and you, we come from the non-social media era to now, which is a gift and a curse. But if you don't take care of your fans, the ones who support you, come to your shows, buy your merch, buy your jerseys, buy your music, then you're just an idiot.
Yeah,
because
you really are.
I watch guys, artists that they used to beg people to take their mixtape, and then they blow up. They got all these security guards around them, and they don't want to talk to the fans. They don't want to see their fans. I just don't get it. Why are you hiding from your fans? Why are you putting the hood over your face? Why are you doing this? Why are you hiding from your fans? Your fans are the ones who are making you wealthy, and the fans are the ones who are keeping you going. I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. I've never understood it. I've never understood it. And another good example of someone that does that and is always open to that is Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, every time he's up here, that dressing room or that green room is filled with fans. He's just.
You know what I want to say? Not to cut you, I want to say this. I tell people at record labels, right, when you're going to have an album release party or any type of event for your artist, right, I said, with all due respect, it's cool to invite some industry people. But you know damn well the industry people, we're not going out and buying it. We're going to get it for free. We're not supporting it. We're going there to network. We're going there maybe if you drink or eat, look for girls, whatever you feel like doing. But I always say to people, when I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it for the fans.
Yep.
Let's invite a small amount of fans to come and listen to the music and be the first ones to hear it, because they're the ones who are going to support it. Why do an industry event, invite industry people when they don't really care? Yep. That's where my head is at,
And that's so true, and just the longevity and the success ratio that you've built up, Steve, and that is the truth. And there's no other way to speak about it or act about it. That's the only way to be about it is. And you just brought up something brilliant that I still tell artists to this day when they're asking me my opinions is, you always have to remember A, where you came from, and B, you always have to know that your fan base, your real true fan core base is your bread and butter. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because if they're not feeling you and they're not about it, you'll disappear pretty quickly. So,
man, them fans are real quick to leave and disappear. And at the end of the day, they're quick to turn their back on you or say you fell off. But you still have at least a core amount of fan base that's going to stay down with you. So it's all about the fans, because as you grew your career, they were the ones there for you. And that's the thing I hate. I said with the industry stuff, you're inviting the industry people. It's cool, we can get together and schmooze, but why don't you take the time and just invite, real fans out and let them experience, because they're the ones who are really going to support you.
Yep.
But, some get it, some don't.
Some don't. Let's talk about, you've always had a good relationship with the legendary producer, Scott Storch. I know you've taken him under your wing now to, redevelop his image and his branding and just over his overall awareness and proper footsteps that he brings into the music business on an international level. Where are you guys at? I see a lot on social, but I'd like you to kind of discuss, not only your relationship with Scott, but the current projects that you're having Scott work on right now. Yeah,
we know each other for a decade. I have a talk show live with Steve Lobel, and I went to go interview him. And when I went to interview him, he asked me if I would manage him. You know, Scott had $100 million, lost it all, got caught up on cocaine, and his career just went to the bottom and through the bottom. To be honest with you, he asked me to manage him. I said, okay. And for the last 2.5 years, it's been a major comeback. A lot of industry, real people are like, wow, Steve, I knew you could do it. Only you could do it. Are we back? I don't want to say that, but we're working with all the relevant artists from Russ to Trippie Redd to Kyle to A$AP Ferg to Nipsey, French Montana, Chris Brown, who Scott started with. You know, we're working with everybody. We having everybody come through. We have a lot of placements out there. We're on the new Post Malone album just came out. We got Russell's next single. We got a lot of stuff going on. It was all about, me opening the doors and using my relationships that he burnt. And I told people I was managing them, and they were like, what? Nah, we're cool on that. And I said, come on, please give me a shot. I wouldn't waste my time. And because my relationships, they opened the doors, and we delivered. The first thing we delivered was the Game Jeremiah record, All Eyes, about 2.5 years ago. So, again, it all because of the relationships that I had. He already had burnt them, but a lot of people said, Steve, if you're saying okay, we're going to go for it.
Yep. And one of my favorite records that you put out, just in all the years that you and I have had the friendship that we have, Steve, and I'd like to kind of touch on where he's at right now. Hopefully he's doing well, is The Kid and Man. He had that record Buzzin'. And I remember a conversation that you and Jamie Adler had with me at the time that you guys reached out to me and wanted some support on that record, and I put it in. And you don't hear a lot of records like that Buzzin' track that are just those, feel good spring, summer, wherever you live around the country. And are we going to be able to have an opportunity to hear future music? Is he doing well? Because I love that record. I love the Buzzin' track.
Yeah, it was a global smash, an international record. When people make music, they should know that the whole world is big and that you should make records for the whole world. And that was one of those special records. 50 Cent got on the record. We shot a video for it. The song's called Buzzin'. Man said, taught the game by Steve Lobel in there. Thanks for the shout out, man. I didn't ask for it. But, man is a great kid. He was young at the time. Not working with him no more.
Okay.
He's doing his own thing.
Okay.
He was a young kid that, had to find himself and who he wanted to be. And as he got older, he started changing, which most people do in a good way.
Yep.
And he got into a whole different style of music and a different type of motivational type of situation. And, now in hindsight, he hits back and says, I should have listened to you. But he had big records, one with Snoop Dogg and Ayaz.
Yep.
He had a big record with, T-Pain. He had big records, all produced by J.R. Rodham, an incredible producer. But, again, in hindsight, he looks back now and says, damn, I should have listened to you. I told him, listen, you could be the flow rider, but he wanted to be someone else. He used to come on the road, me and Nipsey in the beginning stages. It's the same thing with Sean Kingston. I worked with him for so long. He had such big hits. And then when you take time off and you try to come back, and you don't have those big records, it's hard. Same with Ayaz. He had a #1 record, Replay. It was a huge record internationally. Went around the world a few times, made a lot of money. But it's hard when you're not building the brand and you're really building a song.
Yeah. What do you think about Kanye West, who you have a relationship with, came out last week and said that he's putting out 2 separate albums. One is going to be focused with Kid Cudi, and the other is going to be more of his work. Your thought process on letting the international fan base know that there's not 1 but 2 albums coming out?
Well, I went to see Kid Cudi last night. I left though. They said Kanye was coming out, but I know Kanye a long time. Me personally, I feel like this. He's always been a strange individual, and when I say strange, I don't mean it in a bad way. He would just always be himself, and a lot of people are scared to be themselves. They feel like people will, not want to deal with them. I think he says it in that song he just put out with T.I., like, are you mad because I'm saying what I want to say? But I do think this. I think a lot of this, what's going on, is marketing. I feel like you can use social media and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube to drop things. It's free marketing.
Yep.
These labels are not doing artist development no more. These labels are not really spending money on marketing no more. So why not, do it for the press. It's social media. Why all of a sudden is all this coming out now? Because his albums are coming out. He's got this album coming out, that album coming out. I just feel in my heart and soul, I always go with my gut, that it's marketing and a little bit of who he is, but more so marketing. Because if not, then why don't you just do it when there's no projects coming out?
Right. Exactly. So it'll be interesting to hear.
Marketing.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to hear just kind of the level that he comes out of the gates with putting out these two new albums. And Kid and Kanye are very similar in a lot of ways. So I can understand the proper footsteps that went into play to create that branding awareness by collecting those two massive conglomerates and putting them together. So I definitely agree with you. It is marketing. And we always want to have good vibes. That's what I've always learned from you, Steve. Is we hope and pray that the albums are successful and they do well, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah, it's not even about the music no more. Like we're in a streaming world. Some people are still selling albums. Look at J. Cole coming out, do what he did, and we're living in a streaming world. And again, I feel like popularity trumps talent these days. And if you do have talent, you got to be popular by doing, trolling or rantics or tactics. But again, I think that, with Kanye, it'll do good regardless because of, he knows how to make great music. So again, I just feel like a lot of it is marketing, which, some people like, some people don't. Some people seek through it, some people don't. But hey, only God could judge.
Well, there you go, Steve Lobel. I want to not only thank you for being on the air with me today, but I want to thank you being a legend in the music business for as many years as you have been, and creating so many relationships for so many artists, such well-known artists today. It was a pleasure, Steve Lobel, to have you on the line with me. I'm looking forward to you coming up to Seattle and coming in the studio with me. And there's just always so much we could talk about. I'd like to just ask you one more question that this can be beneficial to a lot of the local artists and national artists listening, but coming from a guy like you, Steve Lobel, just the advice that you give to new artists today trying to put their proper footsteps into play, into motion. What are the Steve Lobel's proper ingredients that you would offer to artists today?
Well, I'm out here trying to find an overall superstar new artist. I got that urge again. I have a lot of relationships to try to break an artist. I just get nervous because, again, like I said, a lot of people don't have the ethics that I have, and they don't want to work as hard. They just want to be able to push a button. But, any artist out there, to stay around and have longevity and not just be around for the moment, you have to build a real brand. And a brand is when the consumer is emotionally attached to you. We're emotionally attached to McDonald's, Adidas, Rolex, Mercedes. Why? Because that brand never changes. They stay consistent. They don't change their look, their logo, their specials, their vehicles, their styles. And a lot of times, a lot of artists out here are changing up every other week because they're trying to follow a trend. So if you were a real artist and you know who you are and you know what your end game is, build a brand that the eyeballs will be emotionally attached to you, and they'll be able to stay consistent with you because you're staying consistent. You're not changing with the times. So be yourself, be innovative, be creative, interact with your fans, make incredible music because it's still about the music, and have some personality and work ethic.
There you go. And that's coming from a legend, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Steve Lobel, the man that's, and I know he gives credit to others, but Bone Thugs and Harmony, 40 million albums, plus, probably more than that now, but 40 million albums around the globe, and the relationships, because you just don't burn bridges. And, I've learned a lot from you, Steve, from the relationships that you have, from Mariah Carey to Jay-Z to Beyonce to Kanye West, to all the record executives around the country, around the world. It was an honor, Steve, to have you on, and I hope I can have you on again soon. Please tell Scott Storch I said hello. I'd love the opportunity to have Scott Storch on with you next time via phone or whatever we need to do. And please know that whatever I can do for you up in Seattle, the relationship that I've had with you for over 20 years, please know that you can call me 24/7. I'll always be here for you, bro.
No, I appreciate that, vice versa. I want to say this because, we're quick to salute someone when they pass away or they die or, give them their props. I just want to let you know that I appreciate you, what you have given to the music industry for over 2 decades, especially at radio, especially the business, working through Def Jam and then working at the radio station and still continue to stay relevant for, the Northwest and the globe, because now we're in it's a global thing. Hip hop is pop music is hip hop. It's the biggest long lasting, it's the biggest music genre in the world, and you contribute a lot. So I want to salute you and say thank you on your platform in case, people don't, and I haven't, but I always show you love. So I just want to say that. And anybody trying to get at me, I'm easy to find. You can Google Steve Lobel. My Instagram is We Working with a G. My Twitter's at Steve Lobel. And I'm just trying to keep the culture alive. I could be doing a lot more stuff, but I'll stay away from BS. So I'm not doing as much until I find the right things. But again, at the end of the day, I'm easy to find. So please reach out, follow, ask questions, gain knowledge. And God is great.
God is great. And thank you again, Steve. I wish you nothing but continued good health for you and your father and your whole family, and for you and all the artists that you work with. It was really, sincerely, it was a pleasure to have you on, and I look forward to making this more of a regular segment here on my new show, Studio 110.live. Thank you, Steve Lobel.
Okay, thank you. The pleasure was mine. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless. That was the legendary Steve Lobel, someone who's extremely well respected and well recognized on a national, international platform. There aren't too many artists today that Diddy is inviting over to their personal home. Also Jay-Z, like a guy like Steve Lobel. There's not a lot of people, and the music business, like he said, it's not the industry, it's the business. And you don't want to burn bridges, and you want to really create these proper relationships, because we all know each other, we all talk to each other. So Steve Lobel, thank you again, seriously, for being on the air with me, and I look forward to having you back on. My next in-studio, very special guest, another local, very well-respected, very well-renowned radio superstar, Mike Ricker, the Ricker. Ricker, if you don't mind, maybe I'll sit you over here so we can get the camera. Everybody watching can get a better vantage point of you. Thank you for coming in today. It took a little bit of time for us to mesh up our calendars to get you in here, but super excited to have you in, and thank you for being here, Mike.
Starting off with a round of musical chairs. This is great, man. This is going to be fun. My first foray into showbiz, I don't want to call it showbiz at the age of 5, but the first time I was ever on camera was at the age of 5 on the Bozo the Clown Show, believe it or not, in Los Angeles, California. And I was chosen by Bozo to play in the game. Bozo came up to the little bleacher area, and he pointed at me, and he said, "That little girl right there." I said, "I'm not a girl, Bozo. I'm a boy." I had long hair and long eyelashes. I've still got long hair now. And the game that they asked us to play was musical sombreros, where there was a sombrero, and you would pass it. You would take it off your head and put it on the next guy's head. And when the music stopped, if you had the sombrero on your head, you were eliminated. And I actually ended up being the last cat without a sombrero on my head and won the game and won a big box of Bazooka bubblegum. So let me tell you something, brother. I just changed chairs, and where the hell is my bubblegum?
There you go. See, that's why that's why you are the Ricker, and you always will be the Ricker, regardless of whatever platform you're on. You and I were in radio for a majority of our lives. I happened to be most of my career was at Cube 93 here locally for 19 years. And you were always, I was always kind of in the hip hop R&B business, and you were always kind of on the rock business.
Raise your hands if you love hip hop. That's true.
Yeah. So, and you and I have always had, people in radio.
You and I went head to head for a little while.
We did.
You were afternoons.
We did.
And I was afternoons. Yeah. We're both trying to beat Tom Likas.
Yeah. Yes, oh, I know. But you know what? We've always had a good relationship, though. Like if we were competing with one another, we always knew that. You know what? It was never awkward if we were out and about at functions, and we always showed each other the respect that we both deserve.
Friendly competition, brother. It's like we play in the NFL. You get off the field, you guys take vacations with your wives down to Cabo. The way I always looked at it in radio was that the talent had to kind of stay, on the same page as one another, because you never knew if you might be working for the visiting team. Right? Because, there were two entities that made and still make radio go. You've got management and you've got talent. Management don't give a rat's ass about you.
Right.
You're a number. You're a figure.
Yeah.
And as soon as you're not making hay, then you're out. And you might need to call upon that guy who was at one time your nemesis for a gig, and it might be in another city. And it's a small industry, radio,
It is.
very incestuous. And,
It is.
And there were more than one time, when I ended up working with somebody that I was up against. I can, name a handful of those people. And every once in a while, there was one that was like, man, I was so bad to you, please forgive me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. So I'm the afternoon guy now, and you're the weekend guy.
Yeah.
All it would take is one fell swoop, to get you gone, now that I just signed a lucrative 3-year deal.
Yeah.
So, Dirty Harry. I always respected you at Cube and T-Man and the whole operation over there. I was envious. You guys crushed it in the ratings, and you had a top 40 format that was obviously popular, and you don't have to do much other than play the songs, and the listeners are going to come. We had a less popular genre of music that we were trying to sell, and it took a little bit more salesmanship, I think, to get that across and to get those ratings up there. But it was always a challenge that I was really enthusiastic about undertaking, because, hey, that's a career, man.
Yeah.
Each time I got fired 5 times in my radio career. Okay?
Yeah.
5, dude.
Yeah.
Every time I got fired, I was miserable. I wanted to kill I wanted to jump off a bridge, It was debilitating, man. It was demoralizing. All of a sudden, you're not the guy you thought you were, right?
Yeah.
You're this big timer.
Yep.
And one day, when I got fired in Tampa, man, Bubba the Love Sponge was our morning guy. I was the night guy. And, he was big and he was national, and he had some issues after that and such. But we had just killed it in the ratings. And I just got a nice fat little bonus check, And I walk in one day and, hey, buddy, we're making a change. And turns out, I guess I was making too much money or whatever, Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I was killing it. I had a live show every Saturday night from the biggest nightclub in Tampa Bay, and all of a sudden the rug just gets pulled out from under you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go from champ to chump in the matter of one day.
Yep.
And there's some serious ego reckoning that goes on with that, man.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But each time I got rehired, I made it to a bigger market, making more money.
Yep.
Because I put so much love into my craft, and that showed, right? So then there was always a city that was looking for somebody that had a little something, but those stations that were looking for that guy, every single time was a station that was failing.
Right.
And they needed
the help.
They needed a helping hand.
They needed the help badly. Yeah.
They needed somebody that could turn the ship around.
Yeah.
Right, which is no small feat, Especially you come to a city. When I came to Seattle, KISW was on the chopping block. They had lost Bob Rivers, who's very popular morning show
It
personality.
was wonderful
here
to
in
work with him
Seattle.
when he was at my sister's station, KGR, doing the morning show. So.
Fantastic guy, Bob, and his whole staff, and they crushed it. They were killing everybody. And he had left KISW to go to KZOK, the classic. He went from the active rock station to the classic rock station.
Right.
And suddenly KISW just started circling the drain. And so Entercom, which was the owner of the station, had to make the decision: do we change formats, which is what most companies do, or do we revitalize it? And they made the decision of the latter, and they hired Dave Richards, Dave Newgesser, who's a close friend of mine, and now to revamp the radio station. And so he started hiring guys from other stations that were creative. And we ended up building KISW into a monster, the monster that it is now, because it already had been, the grunge movement, obviously, was a big deal here in Seattle. Yeah. And KISW was, Lane Staley, the singer for Alice in Chains, his roommate was Damon Stewart, who was the night DJ at KISW. We had a picture in our studio of Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains with a KISW rock sticker on his guitar. So these guys had grown up with KISW, the rock station. Yep. And then Bob left in early 2000, and it all just sunk, right? And so they were looking for a way to revitalize. So I was one of the lucky cats that they brought to town to, turn it around. And then you get on the air, and you've got Cube 93 to go up against, and they're just crushing it in the ratings. They're top 40. T-Man's doing really well. You're doing well. And it's a uphill climb, to get to that level. So it took a lot of work, and it's just I don't know what my point is, but I tell you something, man. It was a joy working, as a counterpart in the industry of yours. And here we are again, the first time ever on the air. I know. Ricker and Dirty Harry. After all this.
I know. After all.
Here's what it comes to, man.
After years of competing with each other. And then you remember the old days, the paper version of the ratings. I'm sure, you'd be in the
Arbitron.
The Arbitron. You'd see like those. Look at how many trees got, sawed down, to provide these damn frickin', mounds of paper. Yeah. And then some brilliant person said, you know what? Let's not have paper rating cycles anymore. Let's actually put them digitally. What a concept,
Yeah, but that doesn't even work, because what they do is they put a beeper on somebody's belt
Those
or
PPMs
somebody's
are just
purse.
a bunch of crap. So
the way it works for you cats out there who don't know,
it's called personal people meter, PPM. Yeah.
That's right. And they give you a beeper. They randomly call houses and they say, would you take part in a radio survey? Yeah. Now, the way it used to be, back when you and I were in the 2000s, was they would send you a diary for 1 week. Yep. You had to fill out every radio station you listened to. Nobody does that. No one.
No.
So what would happen at the end of the day, the wife would take all the diaries. Oh, my gosh, we forgot about this. Well, John's at work every day, so he listens to the classic rock station, draw a line through the whole day, all day, and then her favorite station or whatever. So when you got those paper ratings back, right, every quarter, you'd look at them, and they would be horribly inconsistent. Oh. The month before,
I had to believe him. It was my job to believe him. But like, how can you go 1 week just from going some day parts, and I won't mention, people's names or day parts, but you understand what I'm saying is like, a midday show, a 10 to 3 show, weekdays 10 to 3. It's like, it's going north, north, north. And then the music hasn't changed. The A promotion on the radio station hasn't changed. And then, it starts to take kind of a downward.
Well, you got a 4.3% in the entire listening audience 1 month. The next month, you've got a 1.2. Yeah. Then the next month, you've got a 7.6. Yeah. The next month, you've got a 1.8, you know. Yeah. And their justification was, well, you just have to take the average of all of them.
Right.
And so how accurate is that, you motherfuckers?
It's so inaccurate.
My job is in jeopardy here. And you can't do any better than this. Right. So then they finally come up with the results. Well, now we've got it electronically. We've got the personal people meter, and people will actually wear a beeper that detects
and then
signals.
All the numbers go to some big national tally center, and then it gets divided up and sent out. Like, if that's not, a former past president said, "Hey, we're going to bring out a specialist to speak from Arbitron," and I said, like, if you're paying for that airline ticket and that hotel, that's just a waste of money. It's just a huge waste of money, because what is it going to tell me that I don't already know?
Well, it's equally as inaccurate, because where the diary would gauge someone's passion about a radio station, oh, that's my favorite radio station, I'll write in the whole day. Yeah. There's no passion in this. It's supposed to be actual listening. Yeah. But what if you got the beeper on and you're at a Mexican restaurant, and the fellas back in the kitchen are listening to a Mexican radio station, and your beeper is picking up that station. You're not listening to that station. You're not paying attention to the commercials.
Correct.
And what about somebody who is just flipping through the channels but not really paying attention, or they're at their desk doing work and they've got a radio on 5 feet away that's very light and inaudible, right? So there's no passion equated into that result.
Right.
So you've got these two complete opposites of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they figure out a way to come somewhere in the middle? Maybe combine the two.
Yeah.
But they don't do that.
No.
And what happened was, when this personal people meter came about, a lot of formats started disappearing because suddenly they're not getting any ratings. Now, the radio companies know this is inaccurate, okay? Smooth jazz, there are people listening to this.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But the ratings were not inclusive of that. So smooth jazz formats got knocked, right? Yeah. There are none left in the country. Right. Rock radio was another format that took a big hit. And everybody knows there's people that love rock, but it wasn't making money anymore because it wasn't showing up on this personal people meter.
Right, right.
So radio ratings, horribly inaccurate, excruciatingly frustrating. Yeah. And that's the world that we lived with, that we dealt with for me personally, a 20-year career.
I mean, I was at the station for 19 years, but I did work at a couple stations before. While I was actually at Def Jam, I worked with Nasty Ness on the Rap Attack show at KCMU 90.3. So that was kind of my introduction platform from being in the record business then. But I get it. You and I have a lot of similarities, and the reason I left the station was the current market president that was in there thought it would be smart to do, for example, a nationally insured cash contest where the likelihood of a local winner winning cash was about as likely as winning the Powerball. And he thought that was good radio. And then I said, well, how about the concept of developing into place some commercial free hours? Like, who wants to listen to loads of commercials?
Great idea.
And didn't want anything to do with that. So I said, well, if this is how you're going to, run the station, then I don't want anything to do with it. 3 weeks after I left, a bunch of people unfortunately got let go. And then 6 months after that, he got fired. And, I saw the brand go from 100,000 watts down to 25, down to 15, down to an HD Channel 2 property. And they labeled it Tacoma's #1 hit music station. So all the big dollars, from the McDonald's and the Mountain Dews locally, they said, we don't need your money, just spend that money across the street. So what intelligence is built up there, to even tell someone to go spend your money across the street? Who in their right mind would do that?
Yeah, but there are other factors that played into that, and I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, that one of those was that you guys were doing really well at Cube 93, so a couple other formats flipped to take a portion of your listener base. And when that happens, you're #1 on the block. You're sitting up there all high and mighty because you're the only ones playing hip, music, top 40 music. And suddenly one day, whoops, hey, we just got wind that there are 2 more top 40 radio stations in town that are here to take some of our market share.
Right. And that's what I was saying. Those guys were doing commercial free hours, and those guys were doing local cash contests.
Of course, because they were new.
Right, right. And the market president decided that he was so against those. So there will never be a happy outcome when you've got a market president that just refuses to do and this is we're going to move past this conversation, but it's fun to talk radio jargon with someone.
It is, man.
I was there for 19 plus years. You've been in it 20, so we're pretty close.
We could go on for hours.
We could go for hours talking about radio, but one of the main reasons that I wanted to not have my buddy Mike the Ricker on the air with me here today at Studio 110.live is just, it's all about how you rebrand yourself and you reimage yourself, and you say, you know what, because this is the last thing we will talk about on the current subject of radio. When I ask my friends, Mike, are they still getting in their car or flipping through the dials? Most of them aren't. Most of them, it's a safe assessment to say that radio is not the current shiny new car in the showroom. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've got friends who still listen to rock music, and I'm like, hey, dude, it's been 10 years since I've been on the air in Seattle. Actually, 9.
Yeah.
How many times do you have to hear Back in Black until you go, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm ready to move on.
Yep.
I think I'm interested in something new and exciting.
Yep.
But there are some cats. I know a lot of guys that are still into the same music that they were into when they were in high school. And it's like, I guess there are a lot of people, but not as many. And we're getting older, and that demographic is growing out of the money zone. And
I was always in the 18, 34, 25, 40 business. That was my business.
Well, that's changed. Now 18 to 34-year-olds have a whole lot of other options to get their entertainment.
Oh, yeah, tons.
And they don't want to listen to, hey, it's Tom, come on down and buy a car today.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear that anymore, dude. And the people that do hear it are just mailing in their lives.
Yep.
They're just muddling through 1 week at a time, living for the weekend so they can sleep in the morning, and then they go right back to it. And their lives, 5, 10, 15, 20 years are just wasting away. And they're not really actively thinking or exploring in their lives. And they are the ones that are supporting radio still. Otherwise, it is a dinosaur.
It is.
And it is, and then nothing against the people that are in it. I still have a lot of friends in radio that are hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
And some that are doing really well,
Yep.
Still, right? But a very, very, very limited few. So, yes, there are so many other places to go for entertainment and podcasts. If you're listening to this now, you agree with us.
Yes, absolutely. Podcasts are the wave of the future. That's why I was super excited to team up with Ryan and everything that Ryan is doing here up at our headquarters, Studio 110.live's headquarters with FutureNet, and just a great partnership here. I wanted to kick it off with just, to have some fun talking about radio, but moving past here, just tuning into the show, Studio 110.live, got a very special guest, a friend in the studio with me. Goes by Mike the Ricker, very well-known radio host that's been in Seattle and other markets around the country for many years that had a #1 rated shows. It's all about reinventing yourself and reimaging yourself, and you've embarked on an exciting new platform, Mike. And you're now in the cannabis business, a multi-billion-dollar business that really is helping a lot of people, especially on the medical side. People that are really suffering with a lot of pain, with a lot of chronic illnesses, where their only resort is to align themselves to help them ultimately feel better by using cannabis. I wanted to kick this off by saying that you blessed the cover of Northwest Leaf, February 2018, issue 92. Ricker returns, and thank you for the nice notation that you put on here. You said, "My guy Dirty Harry, you shine like a diamond. I want to frame this up here on my wall as soon as my show producer gets me a proper frame." But what I want to get into is you're a co-owner of Wham Oil. And before we get into this, you shared a really amazing story in Ryan's office a couple weeks ago that I wanted to kick this off with. And I don't recall if this was a testimony from you personally, or if this was someone that you knew about. The story goes as this: that you knew someone, and please tell me, do you know what the story that I'm referring to yet?
Not yet.
Okay, the story was where oil was so beneficial, they had a mark on their face, and it took 6 applications. They never had to go to the doctor.
Oh, that's me.
That's you. Okay.
Yeah.
There
are a number of different stories, that we could talk about with cannabis, but
I want to talk about that real quick.
Okay.
Where you had a mark on your face, and it took 6 applications with the oil, and this just shows the power of Wham Oil and everything that you're doing, Mike, in the cannabis business. You never had to go to the doctor. You didn't have to pay for medical bills, and it dissolved itself. It took care of itself, all thanks to the oil.
Well, I want to clarify that. Firstly, I have a partner. Her name's Gianna Lampreda.
Yeah.
She's a 6-time cancer survivor. Okay. Now, I cannot make any claims right now that cannabis will do anything for you. I cannot claim that it will help you medically. Okay. But I will say that my partner, Gianna Lampreda, is a 6-time cancer survivor. She's Mexican.
There you go.
She was raised down on the border of Mexico by her grandmother, who used cannabis as medicine. And so she's grown up with cannabis being sort of having a relationship with it, knowing that it provided relief to a lot of different ailments.
Yeah.
So now we're adults. She and Brandon Hamilton started Wham Oil used as Washington Alternative Medicine in 2010. Because Gianna had suffered from endometrial cancer a number of times. And each time she beat it by taking a full gram of RSO, which is Rick Simpson oil, at night, and a full gram of lemon remedy in the morning. And it shrunk the tumors in the lining of her uterus. Okay? So I've had to switch, gears to the story that you're talking about. And this is, we can go into that too. Those are my partners, and that's the business that we have. We make CO2 full spectrum, 100% pure hash oil that goes into a cartridge, and you can dab it as well, that you vaporize or you dab or take it orally. So it does have medical properties for me personally and Gianna, my partner. Now, for me, I've had, I grew up in Pensacola, Florida, and I've surfed my whole life, and I've been out in the sun a lot. I'm a beach boy, I mean, look at my hair, right? I've got long blonde hair, and I love being in the water. And now that I'm starting to age,
doesn't look like it at all.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. A little eyeshadow and some bronzer. I'm just kidding.
But seriously, you look good, Mike, and you've always because you take care of yourself.
I try. So I've come up with some basal cells, right, precancerous cells on my body here and there, and I've had 3 of them that I've actually had to have extricated from my skin. Right, they cut them out, hurts like hell, takes forever to heal. Then if you're out in the sun, you've got to keep the sun off of it. It's just a big pain in the ass. So I went to I had a mark on my face a year ago, and I went to the dermatologist and said, well, that's a precancer cell, so I'll freeze it off. I'm like, really? Yeah. So there's a dime-sized red mark on my face, and it's still there. But the bump went away. So 9-10 months later, I go to New Zealand on vacation, and I come back, and I wake up in the morning, I'm getting ready for my day, and I look in the mirror, and there's that red mark again. I must have been out in the sun enough for it to, resurge. And I never saw it while I was on my vacation. All of a sudden, it's there. And I'm like, my God, it's the precancer cell again. Now, I had been at a party, CannaCon weekend, and this guy gave me a couple RSO syringes that he had made. And I knew that Gianna had used RSO, and I've, have other friends that use RSO for medical reasons. I thought, I'm just going to try something. And I took the syringe, a little dot of it, and I applied it twice a day, once in the morning and once in the night, to that little bump, that red bump, which I assumed, because it was in the exact same place as before, it was not diagnosed a second time, but I assumed that it was a precancer bump. And as I applied it, it began to diminish, and it was actually gone in about 4 days, but I kept applying for an entire week. And now you can see there's absolutely nothing there.
Nothing
it's
there.
Gone.
Nothing there.
Yeah.
Nothing there.
Gone. It just shriveled up into a little scab and went away.
So that shows you the power of, what the proper ingredients, otherwise known as, the oils and the cannabis and everything in relation and proper effect can do. And that really is, I mean, when you shared with me that story a few weeks back, I mean, that was powerful. And that was one of the things that I was looking forward to speaking with you about today, just because, when you hear that story, it's an eye-opening experience. It really is on multiple levels. What was it about, Mike the Ricker,
Mike is fine.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike.
Well, Ricker.
Okay.
No, though.
Well, whatever you prefer. So,
okay.
What was it about the overall of the cannabis industry that sold you, that said, you know what, I'm going to apply my brand and everything that I can bring to the table to come in, and whether it's with Wham Oil or just everything that you've done within the cannabis business, what was it that enticed you to sign at the dotted line ultimately? Well,
brother, the universe, look, what was that last music producer that was on? He said, God is great.
That was the legendary Steve Lobel.
Jah is great, brother. Whatever you want to call that universal source of energy that exists in the universe.
Yep.
Okay? You can call it God, Yahweh, Allah. More people call it Yahweh and Allah than anything else, okay? Whatever you believe is irrelevant, because there is a universal source of energy that exists. You can give it a name. It don't matter. It doesn't change it.
Yep.
It's there.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
In your little tiny head and my little tiny head, we can try to contrive some sort of image that, attached to it that gives us a certain sense of understanding. But it doesn't change the fact that there is nothing but energy that exists in this world, in this universe.
Yeah.
And we are part of it. We are universal matter, right? So we're in congruence with everything else that exists in tandem on a molecular level, okay? So I've come to the place in my life where I have surrendered to the universe. Some people say, I surrender to Jesus. Whatever, bro. Yeah. Okay, if you want to give it, a face, fine. I don't need to.
Yeah.
It is what is.
Sure.
So in my life, coming out of radio, I had an ego, right? Enough people love you and adore you and compliment you, you start thinking you're special.
Yep.
And you start believing that. And then, one day it's all taken from you, bro. Bam. You're just another asshole on the street.
Yep.
How do you deal with that? You go through some post-stardom depression, For me, my chick left. Right? I came home one day, so I lost my radio gig. Oh, geez. A couple months later, my girl goes, I'm pregnant. That's horrible news. No, you don't understand. It's not yours. So she ended up getting pregnant by one of the guys in Jackass.
Really?
True story.
Wow, I never knew that.
I won't give his name on air because I respect her and the guy, but she's got 2 kids with him now. And so here I am. Lost my chick, lost my job. The money's not there anymore. What do I do, man? So I sold everything I had. And I took a one-way flight to Brazil, and I bought a motorcycle. And I started combing the beaches, just trying to figure out my life, man. And it was turmoil. I was all upset and just a wreck inside. Because I wasn't, who am I supposed to be now?
Yeah.
I'm not a radio guy. Like I said, I was on Bozo the Clown when I was 5 years old, right? I've been in this business. My dad was a DJ. What am I going to do now? This is all I know how to do. And I've got a lot of life left. I don't have enough money to rely upon for the rest of that life. I'm not ready to retire yet. 43 years old, So I surrendered to the universe. And I traveled the world for about 4 or 5 years, trying to figure. I knew something was coming. I was writing. I wrote some books and stuff, but I knew something was going to happen. I wasn't sure what, but I believed in the universe. I believed that I was going to be presented something. And I held out, and I was starting to give up hope. And then on my birthday, special birthday, I decided to go to Peru and go to Machu Picchu for that birthday. So I'm down there, and I meet this guy who's got this like traditional garb on, right? And I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? You got a joint? The guy goes, yeah. So we get stoned, and we're at Machu Picchu, and he goes, man, you need to go into the jungle and do ayahuasca. I'm like, what? Who? Ayahuasca. You're here. This is meant to happen. For a long story short, I'm like, I don't know, but okay. And my buddy met me down there for the birthday, and I'm like, dude, I'm being called to do this. I think this is something that needs to happen. He's like, oh, whatever you want to do, bro. Okay. So we catch a flight to this small city in the Amazon jungle. And we go in and we meet this guy, and next thing you know, we're out in the jungle, man, and we're doing ayahuasca. And I come out of it, and it's a very spiritual, they call it medicine down there. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what it is I got out of this, because my buddy got something. He knows what he needs to fix in his life. First thing he said was, I know how I need to fix my relationship. And then other people say, I need to get off of addiction, right? I need to do this. So people get answers from ayahuasca. I wasn't sure what it was I got. But I knew one thing. I knew that I was really interested in this plant-based medicine. That was the word that was ringing through my head. Medicine. How is this medicine? People have been using this for thousands of years. There are cultures where pregnant women take it, where they give it to babies, right? And it is a hardcore psychedelic, man. It takes a while to come down off of it,
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez, but as the next day went by, I was like, I'm not sure what I need to go deeper, I think, but I don't know. So fast forward 2 months later, and I'm still looking for the answers in my life, and my buddy calls me up. He used to be a caller on my show. Cowboy. Hey, Ricker, it's Cowboy. Oh, Cowboy. He's a big Cowboys fan. Got the Cowboys coming in town this weekend to play the Seahawks. Big game here as Tony Romo's going to get his ass handed to him. You know, and he'd be like, I don't know, whoever, Tony Romo's the man or whatever, And then one day I run into this guy in the gym. He's like, are you Ricker? And I'm like, yeah. He said, I'm Cowboy. Oh, we hit it off. We become friends. Years later, he calls me up and he says, hey, dude, I got this company, Wham Oil. And I'm like, yeah? Because every time I'd come to Seattle, I'd buy some of his cartridges.
Yep.
And I'd take them back to wherever I was, and I'd show my buddy, dude, look at this. It's hash oil. You smoke, you vaporize it. And my buddy'd be like, what? Wow, this is the greatest thing ever. Well, now here we are, 2016. And he says the medical market is disappearing because they changed the laws in Washington. And we have to move into the recreational market. And you know what, dude? You and your brand, because for those of you who never listened to me, back on KISW here in Seattle, I used to have a segment called High Noon. It's High Noon with your gangster, Ricker. Hey, Ricker. What's up, big timer? Just burning a little purple kush. Are you roasting it out of the one-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater, their big-time championship tasticism? Yeah, Ricker. Well, let's hear what that sounds like, you gangsterliciousicism. Happy high noon, Ricker.
See that's a radio star right there for you.
So now,
people don't realize all the hard work that it takes to put into doing a show. I liked all the people back in the day, Mike, that would say, "Oh, you must get to the station an hour before your show." No, you're showing up several hours before to rehearse these types of iconic segments and bits that you and I used to always do on our shows.
Actually, that's not true. I was a master of improvisation. I showed up 5 minutes before my show.
Oh, I showed up a few hours before, so I guess that's what differs.
I just took it as it came, man. But anyway, so Brandon calls me up and says, hey, man, we're moving into the rec market, and you'd be perfect because I had a brand created. I made a name for myself in Seattle, and people remembered me, I guess.
A big name.
From High Noon.
A successful name. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I hadn't been on the air since 2009, but it was like all of a sudden I realized, oh, my God, this is it. The universe, this is where it's directing me, into the plant-based medicine industry of cannabis. I said, Brandon, I accept your offer, but I'm not going to work for you. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to invest in the company, and I'm going to become an owner. And you and I and Gianna are going to run this company. We're going to knock it out of the park.
And you are.
Because you've got the greatest oil that I've ever tasted in my life, and we won the award for Best Concentrate Company in December for the year 2017.
Congratulations.
In the state of Washington, and we're crushing it. We're in a ton of stores. And
how many stores are you in right now?
134. And you know what? Tomorrow is the 1 year anniversary that we went online, that we got.
Well, then it's perfect to have you on the air with me, just right before the anniversary.
The anniversary, brother.
So 134 stores nationally.
No, in the state of Washington.
Just in the state of Washington.
Yeah, we're only licensed here.
Okay.
So it was perfect. Now I'm in the plant-based medicine industry, and what's beautiful that I never foresaw coming, okay, and this will lend to the being on the cover of the magazine that you were just holding up.
Let me hold it up here for the camera as well, so everybody can. Let me get a little closer here to this one of our cameras here, so everybody can see and the nice things that Mike said to me on the cover of Northwest Leaf. My guy, Dirty Harry, you shine like a diamond. That's coming from the Ricker, a local legendary radio personality that represented Seattle and put that station on the map the way you did, like I did at Cube 93. So pleasure and an honor to have you in the studio. Everybody see Northwest Leaf. Thank you.
So what I didn't foresee coming was here in 2018, 2017, when we came online, all these kids were 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 back in the 2000s when I was hosting High Noon. Now they're all in their 20s, and they're running the cannabis industry. And they're like, dude, you're a pioneer. You're the first guy who had the stones to get on the air and talk about cannabis freely. And it was very risky when I did it. It was very controversial. At that time, it was not legal. and people still had this stigma, based around cannabis, that it was just stoners, right? There was no medical benefit to it. If anything, it was for AIDS patients. It would kill their, pain a little bit and make them less miserable as they were dying. God bless them, So now I'm heralded as this pioneer, and so Northwest Leaf put me on the cover of their magazine and said, Ricker returns.
I like it.
So here I am, and I'm very honored to announce for the first time
on this show, Studio 110.live. Wow, this if I would have known that we had a big announcement, I would have done more proper. I would have had Erica do a whole kind of presentation. But the floor's yours.
This is all we need is 2 microphones, you and me, brother. Okay?
There you go.
And we'll let it out, let the cat out the bag, and let it run.
Have you put this on your social? That you
Nothing.
Okay.
I am now named. I've been named, and I've accepted the opportunity to be a co-host with the publisher of Northwest Leaf of the forthcoming podcast called Leaf Life.
That you will be doing right here in my studio, I'm told.
That's right. We'll be recording it right here in Studio 110 very proudly.
Thank you for accepting. I knew about this, and I didn't know about the beginning part of the announcement, but I knew that you and I have had several conversations, and I said it would be my honor to be able to. You're going to be coming in, I guess, on Saturdays to do the show, and then it'll be airing whenever you guys air it. But feel free to utilize my studio here at Studio 110.live, Ricker. Anything I can help you out with, it would be my honor. So.
I appreciate that, and we look forward to integrating with you guys and having a huge all things cannabis podcast, the go-to place for all things cannabis related, medical, recreational, informational, educational, but most of all, entertaining.
There you go. And if I could ever help or assist with your platform or your show like you're doing for me, please call upon me, and it would be my honor and pleasure to help you out. You've always been there for me, bro, and you and I have known each other for a long time. And like I said, it's amazing how we're coming back together here after all these years. I mean, 20 years, 19 years, and real similar patterns.
I'm looking forward to integrating this operation into the Leaf Live podcast. It will launch in early June.
Okay.
And right now, the Leaf Life magazine is in Oregon as Oregon Leaf. Washington as Northwest Leaf, and in Alaska as Alaska Leaf, adding California, 3 regions in California by 2020, and another 8 states as well. So it's going to be national.
Great.
The podcast is going to be huge.
Great.
And it's going to be validated by the fact that it is based on the magazine, and obviously the platform on which to launch it is the magazine.
There you go.
So great things. No one's really doing a high-profile cannabis podcast right now. And myself with Wes Abney will be the purveyors of Leaf Life, and we're very excited about it. And I'm quite proud to be able to announce that here on the Studio 110
Live with your boy Dirty Harry. And like I said, it would be my honor anytime you would like me to come in with you and co-host with you. You can definitely fly the airplane just as well as I can. But if you ever need my assistance, please feel free to call, and I will be here for you, Ricker.
Hey, far out, brother. There
you go. And I like the hat, by the way. You always have that just dope ass rocker, like the glasses, the hat, the blazer, the rocker T-shirt. I mean, you walk the walk, you speak the language, you talk the talk, and you're about it. I like the glasses, man. I mean, I'm sure when you walk down the street, you probably still people get, tapping you on the shoulder. Can I get a picture or an autograph? You hear about that guy recently in New York City? He was no one. He dressed up like a celebrity. He brought bodyguards on. He started walking down the streets in New York, and people thought he was the biggest celebrity of all time. It's the funniest video ever. Yeah, it's on YouTube. So
that's my kind of gangster. Right? A cat with those kind of stones, man. But hey, man, that's the kind of world we live in right now, okay? You can do anything you want. You can be anyone you want. You just got to get out there and do it, man. Quit sitting on your couch. Quit watching lame-ass TV. Quit smoking shitty bud. Live your life. Live it to the nth degree, and you only get one go around, brother. So what are you going to do? You're going to waste. The odds of you even being born are something like 1 out of 750 billion.
Wow.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to waste it? You're going to commiserate because you don't have what you think you deserve. You're not getting what you want. You know what? You got everything you want, man. You got this life.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're 6 feet in a hole.
Yep.
And you can go anywhere and do anything. Maybe you don't feel loved. Guess what? There's someone out there who loves you. You just got to find them.
And those are some powerful words coming from my guy Mike, also known
Straight from the heart, brother.
as Ricker here, and it was a pleasure and a great opportunity. I wish you nothing but continued success with your brand, otherwise known as Wham Oil, and with you and your business partners, and the new show that you'll be doing in here from my studio at Studio 110.
Leaf Life.
And anything that I can do to continue to help you out, it would be my honor and pleasure. I want to thank you again. Any shout outs you want to give to anybody, Mike, before we sign off for the day and I do my final notation?
Yes, indeed. I would like to give a shout out to moms, because you got to look out for moms, bro.
You do. It's very important.
You know?
It's very important.
Yeah, moms, big shout, big ups.
Any other shout outs?
No.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I want to once again thank...
No, wait, I give a shout out to the old man too, huh? How about Pops?
There you go. Give a shout out to... The floor is yours. Any shout outs you want to give, please go ahead and do so.
Shout to Mom, shout to Dad, and a little shout out to my dog, Harris.
Your dog is named Harris?
Dirty Harry.
There you go. I thought. Oh, I didn't know if you if you actually had a dog named Harris, or if you're referring to me.
I'm referring to my dog.
My dog, my guy, and my guy is Mike Ricker, and of course we have a good relationship, a good friendship, a good business relationship, and believe me, you'll be coming in more often now that you can also be doing a show strictly dedicated to everything going on in the cannabis scene. I also do one in conjunction with my show on Fridays. Scott McKinley came in last Friday and brought some figures in. We had a good segment. So super excited for what we're all doing here for the cannabis industry. I've had a lot of great people. Mike on the show. Jake the Professor has been in here. Ian Eisenberg has been in here. Alejandro from Diego's been in here.
Alejandro Canto.
So it's been a great show. With that being said, I'm normally 1 to 3, but when Mike comes in, I stay on longer for Mike. It's 3:50 out here, obviously on the West Coast. It's been a great show. I had the Ricker, Mike, and I had Steve Lobel on today, and I had Mr. Network, and I had Vitamin D.
What a show.
What a show. It's such a star-studded show and a great show to kick off Monday. I want to give a big shout-out again to CNP Entertainment that provided such a wonderful experience for everything for me for my big launch party this past Saturday up here at our headquarters, Studio 110.live's headquarters. It was a great party. 200 people, celebrities. It was just good vibes all around. So I want to thank everybody that really worked so hard. There was about 8 people that worked super hard to create this wonderful party for myself and my new show here. With that being said, I look forward to being back at it on the audio-visual presentation like we do Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 out here Pacific Standard Time. Studio 110.live. We'll be talking to you tomorrow. Thank you again, Mike.
World.
There you go. Peace.